A little boy let a little girl bite his neck. This resulted in him being nailed to a coffin with a wooden stake. Because the little girl was naturally different from others, her parents told her she must never show this to anyone, otherwise everyone would think she was a vampire. After hearing her parents' words, the little girl was also scared, fearing that she really was a vampire. But there are no walls that can keep secrets forever. Her unusual behavior instead aroused suspicion from others, until one day a little boy found her. He asked the little girl, "Are you really a vampire?" Seeing the girl turn her face away, not wanting to acknowledge him, the boy smiled and extended his hand. "I'm Chris. This seems to be the first time I've seen you out during the day, so what's your name?" Upon hearing this, the little girl just snorted coldly. The little boy continued asking, "So your name is This nearly made the girl lose her temper on the spot. Actually, the boy already knew the girl was called Suho because Suho was quite famous locally. Everyone said she was a newly moved vampire, which Suho strongly denied. But Chris also found it strange. "I heard you've moved several times, and you don't come out during the day but wander around at night. When hungry, you even catch pigeons to eat." Suho loudly refuted, "At least the last one is definitely not true." Chris naturally knew these were all rumors, but he didn't understand why Suho wouldn't come out during the day, and wouldn't explain to everyone. Hearing this, Suho was also troubled. She had tried to explain before, but no one believed what she said, and she didn't know if she really was a vampire or not. Seeing this, Chris said, "I believe you're not a vampire. Because I was born with a lame leg, so I know that if a person feels different from others, they become very afraid of interacting with people. They will discuss that special person with others. I once heard people say that my parents regretted giving birth to me. This made me very afraid that those words were true. In fact, my parents love me dearly. So don't let other people's nonsense affect you. Let's be good friends." Suho looked at this boy who was in a similar situation to herself but was so cheerful. She gladly accepted his invitation. This was also the first time Suho had a friend. They talked and laughed together. They played together in the river. They hung close and watched the sunset together. Suho finally couldn't help but tell Chris her secret. Chris just thought her ability was cool, and he firmly believed she wasn't a vampire. Suho could hardly believe it, because now she was even worried that she really was a vampire. Chris also saw the worry in her heart. He said to Suho, "Would you like to bite my neck?" Upon hearing this, Suho immediately panicked. Chris continued, "It's okay, because I believe in you." Suho was still extremely terrified inside. What if something really happened? Chris immediately said they didn't need to do it right now. "When you feel that I truly believe in you, or when you believe that you're not a vampire, then you must bite me." Only then did Suho smile with relief. She cherished every moment with Chris. Until one day, Chris's house caught fire. Without hesitation, Suho rushed into the flames. She knew that once she used her ability, it would make others even more convinced she was a vampire. But she couldn't care about that anymore. She didn't want to be swayed by other people's nonsense anymore. Suho found Chris barely alive under the rubble. Heavy steel and concrete was easily lifted by her. "Suho, you came to save me. No matter what others say about you, I will always believe in you. Someone as kind as you couldn't possibly be a vampire." Finally, Suho believed she wasn't a vampire, and she bit Chris's neck, so Chris was nailed in a coffin. Suho lost her best friend. Even more people thought she was a vampire, but she still didn't believe she was a vampire. So she transferred to Dessler Academy with excellent grades. This was the best noble academy in Liverpool, and it strictly excluded vampires. She finally escaped the accusation of being a vampire, but she still couldn't forget the boy's incredibly trusting eyes. After some self-counseling, Suho began to clean and arrange her room. Just as she lifted the entire bed, she saw a boy who suddenly appeared. Suho hurriedly explained that she wasn't a vampire, but thinking that no one would believe her, the confidence she had barely built up instantly crumbled. Her tears couldn't stop flowing. However, the boy said, "I believe you. After all, our school's entrance examination is so strict." Hearing this, Suho was very grateful for the boy's understanding. Then her tone became serious. "I really don't want to be mistaken for a vampire, because I hate vampires more than anyone else in the world." Upon hearing this, the boy broke out in cold sweat. Suddenly, Suho's expression became cheerful again. "But here I don't have to worry about being misunderstood." The boy could also see that Suho had suffered a lot before. Then Suho said everything was because of vampires, and the boy's cold sweat broke out even more. Actually, Suho heard from her parents that before she was born, vampires only existed in novels. She couldn't figure out why they suddenly appeared. Hearing this, the boy's expression became serious. Soon after, Suho found the boy's book. The two chatted about the book for a while. Since she usually had no friends to talk to, Suho said a lot, until Suho thought the other person found her annoying. Learning that the other person didn't mean that, Suho gave the book to the boy. The boy took the book, said goodbye, and left. Only then did Suho realize she hadn't even asked for his name. Suddenly, the door opened again. The boy stood outside the door asking what Suho's name was. The sudden happiness almost went to Suho's head. She said her name many times in a row. Then the two fell silent, and after a while the boy asked, "Don't you want to know my name?" Only then did Suho suddenly ask for the other person's name. This reaction made the boy sweat, but he also said his name was Heli. After exchanging a few more pleasantries with Suho, he left. Heli walked in the corridor. Suddenly, a red-haired man called out to him, He was called Gino, next to him was blonde Xian. Blue-haired Solon, gray-haired John. They learned that Helly wanted to be friends with a human. Solon was the first to object. So several people began discussing telepathically, but Helly didn't take his advice. He felt Suho was different. He felt she was similar to himself. Gino thought if she was one of their kind, she couldn't have entered this school. Helly also knew Suho wasn't one of their kind, but she had some inexplicable attraction. Hearing this, Xian teased, "Helly, you're not falling for her, are you?" But this was immediately denied by Solon. We can't have those kinds of feelings, and we shouldn't. Even if we want to get along well, humans will eventually... John also said getting too close would bring danger to Suho. After hearing everyone's opinions, Helly sighed. After a while, Solon emphasized with his mouth, "Anyway, everyone, don't get too close to that transfer student." Unknown to them, Suho was standing behind him. Just as Helly and the others were discussing staying away from Suho, she happened to overhear their final conversation. She lowered her head in shame, not expecting to be disliked so quickly. She had been like this since childhood. Because of her abilities, others thought she was a vampire. No one wanted to play with her. She had thought that since there were no vampires here, it wouldn't be like this, but she still couldn't escape. She originally thought their eyes would be the same as those guys before. But that wasn't the case. Their eyes showed some surprise and embarrassment. Suho felt uncomfortable being stared at by them. Xian was the first to come forward and greet her, introducing himself. His enthusiasm left Suho somewhat at a loss. Fortunately, Gino pushed him away in time. While bad-mouthing Xian, he introduced himself. "Xian is a troublemaker. You should stay away from him." Xian glared from the side. "Gino, you can't badmouth me like this." At this time, John wiped his hands, then gentlemanly extended them to Suho. "Hello, I'm John." Of course, Suho was happy to greet him. Suddenly, John said, "Don't take what Solon said just now to heart." None of us agreed. Solon gritted his teeth in hatred. "That's not what you said during the discussion just now." Of course, Suho had noticed him too. "Sure enough, this guy really dislikes me, and he said those things just now." Solon turned his head away proudly. Although Suho felt a little disappointed, it was much better compared to before. She didn't know how Helly had introduced her just now, to make them treat her so warmly. Solon felt awkward standing there, wanting to call them to leave together, but they all ignored him. Instead, Helly first asked Suho where she wanted to go. After learning she wanted to familiarize herself with the campus, the other guys also shouted that they wanted to go together. Of course, Solon couldn't put down his pride. Someone had to invite him to go together, so several people first took Suho to visit the library. Suho was still more interested in the type of book in Helly's hand, but Helly said this type of book required special permission to read. In the end, he could only put Suho off, saying he would tell her about it after he finished reading. While touring the school, Xian also introduced everyone's situation. He first said that he and Suho were both in 10th grade. John and Gino were in 11th grade. He didn't mention Solon. Helly was in 12th grade. Hearing this, Suho felt a bit strange. "It's amazing that you have such a good relationship even though you're not in the same grade." Upon hearing this, several people broke out in cold sweat. After a while, Helly explained that they grew up together. Everyone's parents were gone. They came from the same orphanage. Only then did Suho understand. She apologized to everyone for being abrupt, and everyone felt relieved. Soon they came to the sports field. Gino said there were 2 good playmates on the court. Because they cared about the league, they were still practicing. Suho wanted to ask more about the league. Suddenly, John's eyes focused. Something was shattered by him. The others also quickly surrounded Suho protectively. Looking carefully, they realized it was a soccer ball kicked from the field. A white-haired guy and a purple-haired guy ran over here. They were Jaka and Noah, 2 of the 7. Seeing it was them, the 2 apologized and ran away. Only then did John turn around to ask about Suho's condition. He saw Helly holding Suho in his arms. Immediately, Suho sprang back like a spring. She thanked several people with a completely red face. Before Helly could finish speaking, she quickly ran away. Several people just thought she was scared by the ball just now. Back outside the dormitory, Suho's heart was still beating wildly. No wonder this was the first time she had been protected by boys. Suddenly, a voice behind her woke her up. It was blue-haired Solon. He asked Suho, "Do you know my name?" Suho felt uncomfortable being stared at by him. Then she timidly said his name. After hearing the answer, Solon's expression was complex. He snorted coldly with pride and wanted to leave. Suddenly, Suho called out to him, "Thank you just now." Hearing this, Solon was confused. Suho explained that when the soccer ball flew over just now, you pulled me. Hearing this, Solon immediately became shy. "I wasn't helping you, I was just brushing the dust off your clothes." Suho had a knowing look. Then she wanted to suggest getting along well in the future. But before she could finish speaking, Solon interrupted her. "Don't think about being friends with us in the future. We won't be friends with other people. Especially you." Suho almost died of embarrassment on the spot. Little did she know that Solon had some words he didn't say. That was that Suho gave him a very strange feeling. She had some inexplicable attraction. To control his desire, he immediately said harsh words and left quickly. Hearing this, tears welled up in Suho's eyes. This scared Solon stiff. Suho said aggrievedly. I understand. I will never even greet you guys again. Hearing this, Solon became anxious. He suddenly said they should greet each other and talk more. The reason I told you not to get too close to us, it's not because we hate you, it's just because… Solon hesitated. Then he turned his head and said he wouldn't say it. Anyway, those guys won't listen to me either, so don't take what I said too seriously. I'm leaving. Good night. Hearing the words good night, Suho smiled again, and she also bid farewell to Solon. Time quickly came to evening. These people discussed meeting Suho today in their room. They were also curious about why they were like this, only feeling inexplicably attracted. Clearly, Suho wasn't one of their kind. Yet they had a desire to make everything go as she wished. John also agreed with this viewpoint. Shion thought this was love, but they didn't have such emotions at all. Moreover, they felt something very strong from Suho that made them unconsciously attracted to her. Today was Suho's first day of classes at Dessler Academy. She didn't expect to run into Heli as soon as she left her room. Suho, let's walk together. Hearing this, Suho looked bewildered. Heli said while walking, I want to go to class with you. Didn't you say you wanted to be friends with us? Suho thought he came over because he was afraid she would be embarrassed. She didn't expect Heli to be so popular, but thinking about it, this was normal. After all, he was handsome and so gentle. Heli also noticed Suho's unusual behavior. He leaned close to Suho's ear and whispered, Do you feel uncomfortable walking with me? Hearing this, Suho hurriedly explained that wasn't the case. I was also worried that you guys would be uncomfortable because of me. After all, you've been good friends since childhood. You must really hate having someone suddenly insert themselves, right? Heli immediately realized it was Solon who had talked to her. He explained that Solon didn't have any malicious intent. Then he asked if Suho had any questions. Suddenly, Heli closed his mouth, then a voice sounded in Suho's mind, because we have secrets. Suho was so shocked she became incoherent. Heli explained this was telepathy. Now I've told you the secret because I believe in you. Then Heli normally told Suho to study well. It took a long time for Suho's mood to calm down. 10th grade, class 1. Shion was very happy to see that he and Suho were in the same class. He immediately pointed to the seat next to him and told Suho to sit there, but obviously someone was already sitting there. Shion waved his hand, indicating it was fine. He would just have Solon sit somewhere else. Suho felt a chill down her spine. She immediately turned around. She saw Solon standing there with a completely black expression. Suho quickly said she would go find another seat, but Solon said it wasn't necessary. Then he let Suho sit in his seat, while he sat behind Suho with a dark face. After finishing a day of classes, Heli and the others actively came to help Suho organize her room. They told Suho to just sit aside and rest, but Suho absolutely refused. She immediately picked up the wooden box on the floor. John wanted to stop her, but it was too late. As the cloth strips on the box fell, Suho finally saw what was inside. She was completely stunned. Only then did John explain that it was a 200-pound barbell. After hearing this, Suho's jaw nearly dropped to the floor. The room instantly became as silent as death. It was Heli who first broke this damn silence. He had Suho hand him the barbell. Sure enough, he also lifted it easily. He comforted telepathically, It's okay, Suho. You see, I also have this kind of ability, so would you find me scary and hate me? Seeing this, Suho quickly shook her head in denial, seeing the two standing there motionless. Solon immediately realized that Heli was sending telepathy to Suho. The others' faces also became serious. Instead, Heli openly admitted it. Then he asked Suho, You'll help us keep this secret, right? Hearing this, Suho immediately promised not to tell anyone. The two also treated it as exchanging secrets. Then Suho said their telepathy was amazing. Suddenly, Shion popped out and scared her. At this moment, Shion was full of pride. Look, I can stick to the wall. John also picked up the barbell and played with it. Gino extended his warm little hand to Suho's side. If your hands are cold, you can tell me. Solon could only grit his teeth, secretly watching the crazy guys. When he opened his eyes, he found Suho looking at him with bright eyes. He said in embarrassment and anger, What are you looking at? I don't have that kind of thing. Hearing this, Suho was a bit disappointed. Seeing this, Solon blushed. I have it too, but I won't show you. After saying this, he quickly went out to avoid staying here and losing face. He didn't leave immediately either, but listened to the laughter inside the room. Soon, the room was organized. After sending everyone away, Suho sighed alone. How nice to meet such a group of good friends. And they all have special abilities. So why do they all have such magical abilities? Could they be? Suho immediately dismissed this thought. Because she had been wrongly accused since childhood. She couldn't be like those people and impose baseless accusations on others. Moreover, Heli was the second person to believe in her. She should also believe in him. Suho suddenly felt she was no longer unique. Her new friends were all the same kind as her. At the same time, by the school's perimeter wall, several agile male figures climbed over the wall into the school. They were shouting about where those vampires were. In the dormitory, Suho looked at the tidy room. She was very happy inside. Suddenly, she saw there was still a bag of trash nearby. A few minutes later, Suho was walking through the campus with the trash. She didn't expect the garbage dump to be so far away, and the road was so dark. More importantly, it was now 3 in the morning. This environment reminded her of what the dean had said. Not long ago, there had been a murder case nearby rumored to be done by vampires. Suho's hair immediately stood on end. She now wanted to tell those people who thought she was a vampire that she was actually also afraid of vampires. Finally, she successfully threw the trash into the garbage truck. Just as she was about to return to the dormitory, she suddenly felt a chill down her spine. She felt a hand reaching toward her. Then Suho immediately grabbed the perverted hand reaching toward her. The 6-foot-tall man was directly given an over-the-shoulder throw by her. The ground instantly cracked. Only then did Suho see that the other person was wearing a school uniform. Before she could think further, the man's 2 companions had already rushed over. The blonde angrily showed his claws. Suho calmly clenched her fist. But the moment he saw Suho, the blonde hesitated, and Suho's fist hit his abdomen solidly. Suho's strength was so great that the man vomited bitter water. In the end, he could only lie on the ground in pain and wail. Instead, the purple-haired guy looked excited. "Oh my god! You actually knocked down Najak. Who are you?" Hearing this, Suho found it unreasonable. "I should be the one asking you. Are you vampires?" The purple-haired guy told Suho to take back those words. "Don't misunderstand, we're not vampires," said a man with glasses. "To us, that's no different from cursing." Yeah, I can't stand being mistaken for a vampire. It seemed this group of people all looked down on vampires. The one who was beaten at first, Khan, also said they hated vampires the most. Having found common ground, several people quickly resolved the misunderstanding. The men also introduced themselves. They told Suho they were students from Sunshine City School and had come here to find someone. I said there was a disgusting smell. Jaka and Noah instantly appeared beside Suho. What do you want to do surrounding a girl in the middle of the night? The originally peaceful atmosphere instantly became tense. Fortunately, Khan was still rational. A student from our school was killed, related to the previous vampire murder case. Jaka said disdainfully, "So what does this have to do with us? I'm afraid it was you who killed those students." Tahel immediately became unhappy seeing his attitude. Jaka and Noah also prepared for battle. "So can you take responsibility for what you just said?" Jaka wasn't backing down either. "You chose to come on the night of the full moon, isn't it, because you know you can't beat us normally?" After saying this, both sides charged at their opponents. A voice shouted, "Stop!" Suho stood between the two. "All of you stop, don't fight." Now they couldn't fight even if they wanted to. Suho used her strength to forcibly restrain both people. Noah came over to explain to Suho that they wanted to help her. Suho said it was just a small misunderstanding. At this time, Jaka and Noah discovered they had been restrained. Before they could think further, Heli found them. "It's so late, what are you doing here?" The people from Sunshine City School also looked serious. Heli said coldly, "All of you stay away from Suho." Then Heli walked to Suho's side, his tone becoming gentle. "Suho, you're not hurt, are you?" Saying this, he pushed Suho to walk back. But the others didn't plan to let them leave like this. Seeing this, Heli turned back with a face full of hostility. "I have nothing to say to you. Get out of our school quickly." Khan also asked, "It was you who killed our school's student, wasn't it?" Heli replied impatiently that it wasn't. But the others still didn't believe it, and said they had evidence. Seeing the other party wouldn't give up, Heli spoke up. "If it was us, what do you plan to do, and what can you do?" Instantly, a powerful aura spread from Heli's body. Suho, beside him, was stunned. Tahel was also certain it was Heli and his group who did it. Heli was also full of killing intent at this moment. Suho hurriedly stopped him from making a move. She also persuaded Tahel and the others. Only then did Heli realize he had lost his composure just now. "Sorry, Suho, I won't fight." Then he said to the other party calmly, "I know why you suspect us, but it really wasn't us. Whether you believe it or not, at least don't fight here now. Don't you see that Suho is scared?" Hearing this, they couldn't make a move either. Heli added, "If you really want to have a match, then wait for the Nightball League. We'll have a fair competition on the sports field then." After hesitating for a while, Khan also said, "Suho, today I'll let them off for your sake. Sorry for scaring you just now." After saying harsh words, several people left angrily. Suddenly, Enzi seemed to sense something. Soon after, he sent the others away and found Solon alone. It's common knowledge that werewolves and vampires are natural enemies. But Solon happens to be a hybrid of these two species. Actually, he had just discovered this himself. He didn't expect someone else to find out so quickly. That person was Enzi, a werewolf from Sunshine City School, who was curious about why such a being would exist. But Solon had no intention of telling him. Enzi didn't press him either. Instead, he brought up the recent student tragedy at their school. The student had clear bite marks on their neck, and their blood had been completely drained. Solon immediately realized the other party thought he and his group were responsible. He didn't expect to be falsely accused like this. Although he couldn't deny having those urges, "Aren't you werewolves the same? Especially on full moon nights like tonight." Enzi admitted they do have strong instinctual urges, but even so, they would never harm humans. Solon said his side was the same. But other vampires might not be like himself. Enzi found this claim suspicious. After some hesitation, Solon decided to tell the truth. It turned out that Solon and his group were like awakening from a long dream. They couldn't understand their own existence either. So Solon didn't even know why he had werewolf blood. Although others considered them the same species as ordinary vampires, they themselves didn't think so. After hearing this, Enzi developed some fondness for Solon. Perhaps due to that half-werewolf bloodline, Solon didn't really dislike him either. However, just as he extended his hand, Enzi was called away by his teammates. Meanwhile, Heli had just escorted Suho back to her dorm. Only then did Suho have time to meet Jaka and Noah. The two just stared at Suho blankly, until Suho said goodnight and went inside. Only then did they ask Heli about Suho's identity. Then they communicated with Heli through telepathy. We rushed over because we sensed energy fluctuations. We saw Suho taking on 3 or 4 werewolves alone. That was the first time I felt such overwhelmingly strong energy fluctuations. Noah added that when they were about to fight, just because of one word from Suho, he found himself completely unable to disobey. This made them think Suho might be some powerful being from their clan. After hearing this, Heli clarified that Suho wasn't from their clan. On the contrary, she hated vampires more than anyone. Meanwhile, Suho was sorting through what had just happened. She didn't understand why they said Heli and his group were the culprits, combined with what the dean said about the case being vampire-related. She also began to suspect Heli and his group's identity. Soon after, the 7 of them gathered to discuss this matter. Since Suho was now living in their previous meeting place, the location changed to Solon's room. The reason was that his room was centrally located and clean. Regarding those students who had been drained of blood, much evidence pointed to vampires. But they only fed on specific days. Even so, they were still worried about Suho misunderstanding. Solon's voice grew louder. That's why I said we shouldn't get too close to her, and you all even told her about your abilities. Jaka got agitated upon hearing this, while Heli and the other 3 had satisfied expressions. Solon turned his head away proudly. Of course, I didn't tell her. Noah, who had been quiet, spoke up. But we haven't seen your ability either, Solon. You don't actually lack abilities, do you? Hearing this, Solon became anxious. Cheyenne added fuel to the fire. If that's the case, we'll bite him to death. Solon was both angry and speechless. Cheyenne's eyes lit up. Just kidding, I believe you. After all, you talk about your abilities more than anyone. Then everyone's topic returned to Suho. To prevent Suho from knowing they were vampires and thus disliking them, they finally decided to just greet Suho normally when meeting her in the future. However, the next evening, Cheyenne approached Suho. Let's go out and play together this weekend. Facing Solon's roar, he ignored it. We can go to the plaza. We can walk around and eat ice cream, just the 2 of us. Suddenly, Solon popped up between them. No, I want to go too. Upon hearing this, Cheyenne wasn't willing, but Solon was afraid he'd say something wrong. Seeing the long standoff, Solon notified the others telepathically. Instantly, everyone was shouting about wanting to go together, while the 2 were still arguing. A voice sounded in Suho's mind. Suho, are you going to the plaza this weekend? Can I come along? Suho shyly agreed. Then Heli appeared behind her. See you this weekend then. Early on the weekend, Suho arrived at the plaza. Cheyenne happily greeted her. Suho was a bit puzzled seeing him alone. Cheyenne explained that the other 6 were too busy. They're all guys who like to stand people up, so let's just go play together, ignore them. Naive Suho believed him. She didn't think much and set off with Cheyenne, but she felt a bit disappointed inside, as she had wanted to ask Heli what happened. But thinking about it, she decided not to bother him, so she kept frowning along the way. She suddenly remembered she could use telepathy with Heli, but then realized that unless Heli contacted her, she had no way to reach him. This made her feel somewhat regretful. While she was lost in thought, Cheyenne had already bought ice cream. Cheyenne proudly showed his white teeth. I got the shop to give us extra. Suho was flattered, just as Cheyenne was enjoying their time together. John's angry voice came through his mind. Cheyenne, where are you now? Didn't we agree on 7 p.m.? It's only 5 p.m. now. Where did you run off to? Hearing this, Cheyenne remained calm. I originally said 5 p.m. You all stood Suho up except me. How disappointing. Solon became even more furious, threatening not to let Cheyenne off. Cheyenne looked indifferent. Come at me if you dare. We're going on a boat ride later. Come fight me at sea. Suho watched Cheyenne's rich expressions from the side, not knowing he was communicating with others. After thinking for a moment, she spoke. Thank you, Cheyenne. You must be busy too, but you still came to accompany me. Hearing this, Cheyenne blushed, probably because I'm more considerate. Then Suho said this was her first time playing at the plaza, because she had always been afraid of crowded places. Cheyenne also noticed her worry. Let's go on a boat ride then. There aren't many people at sea, and if we leave now, we can catch the sunset. So he asked Suho to wait here while he bought tickets. Suho obediently sat in place. Suho. Heli's voice rang in her mind. Suho, are you at the plaza now? Hearing this, Suho was a bit delighted. Don't you have urgent matters to handle today? Hearing this, Heli felt embarrassed. Not urgent matters, important matters. Suho curiously asked what it was. Heli gently said, seeing you. Those simple 2 words made Suho's face turn red. She nervously gulped down ice cream. I thought you didn't joke much. Heli said he wasn't joking. Suho couldn't believe it and didn't know what to say. So Heli asked her to wait for him and apologized for being late to their date. Suho was stunned before shyly agreeing. Suddenly she remembered Cheyenne went to buy boat tickets, so she headed to the ticket booth wanting to tell him not to buy them, or to buy one more. Excitedly, she was completely unaware of the blood-red eyes in the alley. The next moment, a withered hand reached out. Only then did Suho notice, but she was still dragged into the alley. That person tightly covered Suho's mouth to prevent her from screaming. Suho suddenly noticed the other party's blood-red eyes. She forcefully used her hands. Another over-the-shoulder throw, the ground was smashed with flying dirt and stones. That person lay motionless on the ground. Suho, who finally recovered, discovered that person's nails were abnormally sharp. A chill arose. Could he be... Before she could think further, that person stood up in a strange posture. He suddenly turned to look at Suho. Suho saw his face clearly, and confirmed the other party was a vampire. Strong fear made her unable to move. She could only watch as the vampire approached step by step. The vampire suddenly opened his mouth wide. Suddenly Cheyenne appeared just in time and slammed him against the wall. Suho, are you okay? Suho was about to explain what happened, but the vampire suddenly widened his eyes. He bared his fangs and lunged straight at Cheyenne, then pinned Cheyenne firmly to the ground. Seeing this, Suho became anxious. She suppressed her fear and rushed forward. Her punching speed was incredibly fast. The vampire who had just suffered didn't dare take it head-on. He could only release Cheyenne and dodge to the side. The next moment, the ground was completely shattered by Suho. However, it failed to harm the vampire. The vampire took the opportunity to reach out towards Suho. Suddenly, Suho felt herself being wrapped by some force. John had also appeared here at some point. He punched the vampire away with one strike, while Suho had appeared in Jaka's arms high in the air. Suho looked surprised. Is this a Princess Carrie? Jaka hurriedly apologized. Sorry, because it was an emergency, Suho comforted him. Don't worry, I must have been a princess in my past life. Soon after, they landed back in the alley. The battle here wasn't over yet. After checking on Suho's condition, John observed the vampire who stood up again. The sun hasn't set yet. How can this guy appear here? Even if the alley gets no sunlight, even if he covered his entire body. But except for us few, they should be unable to move until the sun completely sets. Just as John was thinking about what was happening, the vampire actually spoke. Hand over that girl immediately. Only then did they realize this guy's target was Suho. Before they could think about the cause and effect, several more vampires surrounded them at the alley entrance. This scene made even Jaka panic momentarily. John quickly told him to take Suho to a crowded place. At this time, the vampires had already pounced on them. Just as they were about to make contact, Jaka and Suho disappeared from the spot. In a short while, the two had moved far away from there. The speed was so fast that Suho couldn't even open her eyes. While marveling at Jaka's ability, a wave of nausea surged up her throat. Jaka, wait, I think I'm carsick. Meanwhile, in the alley, a vampire was being burned by raging fire. Tell me, who sent you? What are your real intentions? As he spoke, the burning flames grew even fiercer. Noah said these were just low-level vampires. Normal communication with them was impossible. Solon immediately blamed Cheyenne. Knowing he was in the wrong, Cheyenne didn't argue back as usual. Under Gino's mediation, the atmosphere eased. Helly, who had dealt with the last vampire, also spoke up. This wasn't a simple accident. I'm afraid some big shot has their eyes on Suho. At this time, Suho was leaning against a lamppost, vomiting violently. Jaka beside her kept apologizing. Even though Suho said she was fine, he still felt very guilty. Suho's sudden thank you confused Jaka. Suho added, "Thank you for this time and last time. But how did you know an accident would happen and come rushing over?" Jaka didn't know how to answer her for a moment. Just as Suho was about to continue questioning, she suddenly stopped, because she saw that familiar figure in the distance. Even after 10 years, she could still recognize that person. That boy who had been nailed in the wooden coffin was now standing there. Chris. Suho ran toward him like crazy. However, a strange smile appeared on Chris's face. Suho didn't care about Jaka anymore. She ran straight toward Chris. Suddenly, Helly asked telepathically if Suho was injured. She explained she wasn't hurt while running toward Chris, but Khan suddenly appeared in front of her. Khan greeted her, causing her to look away. When she looked back at the corridor, Chris was gone. Before she could think, Jaka blocked her path. "What do you want with Suho?" Jaka and Khan immediately got into a confrontation. The two didn't give Suho any chance to interrupt. At this time, Khan's companions walked over. Tahel became extremely excited when he saw Suho, while Jaka's expression became serious. Fortunately, his companions were also approaching. When Xion saw the werewolves, his face immediately darkened. What the hell? How are these guys here? Suho. Helly suddenly appeared beside Suho. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine, thanks to everyone coming to rescue me. Khan, hearing their conversation, asked if something had happened. Upon hearing this, Suho honestly told them what occurred. Several werewolves couldn't believe vampires would appear at the plaza at this time. John said they didn't need to worry about it, his side had already handled it. But Khan looked serious. This is what you should have done anyway. If it were us, we would never let Suho fall into danger. John was about to get angry, but fortunately Gino stopped him. Khan continued to tell Suho to stay away from Helly and his group, saying it was for her own good. Taehyung took the opportunity to invite Suho to play together next week. Xion naturally refused. Suho already has plans with us next week, and the week after, and the week after that, until the end of time. Then the two childish ones started arguing. Soon both were dragged away by their respective adults. Then Xion approached Suho again. We really do have a birthday party the week after next week, can you come? Taehyung thought he was definitely lying again. But Xion made a face at him. If you don't believe it, you can come too. How ridiculous, you think we'd celebrate your birthday? Then they changed their tune the next moment. When Suho looked at them expectantly, it would be great if you could come together too. The two werewolves instantly became like puppy, guaranteeing they'd definitely attend. That night, Suho's mind was filled with the figure that appeared during the day. She felt that if Chris were alive, he would definitely look like that when grown up. But Chris was clearly already. I must have seen wrong, they just look similar. But how is that possible? How could I not recognize you? But why didn't you come find me? Why did you disappear today? But at least you're still alive. Under the night sky, Chris stood by the seaside. He turned to look at the approaching person. At this time, Suho was very anxious. Chris, it's me. I'm Suho. Do you remember me? We used to be very good friends. We played together every day. But Chris remained cold and indifferent. Suho continued to cry and speak. You said you would believe me. You even let me bite your neck once. Chris smiled. Of course I remember. Actually, I miss you too, Suho. Suddenly, Suho woke up from her dream, tears still hanging from her eyes. Was that just a dream? But it felt so real. But Chris couldn't really be there, right? Even though she was quite certain, Suho still ran outside. Indeed, there was no expected figure by the shore. Suho, regaining some rationality, looked at the dark environment around her and felt timid. Today is clearly a full moon. How can there be no moonlight at all? Suddenly, beast roars came from nearby. Suho couldn't see their faces clearly, thinking they were just big dogs. But those big dogs suddenly noticed Suho's direction. Suho's hair stood on end immediately, only then realizing they were much larger than dogs. The next moment, a familiar figure blocked her path. Khan, how are you here? Seeing Suho come out in pajamas, Khan's face turned red. Looking carefully, Suho noticed Khan's unusual appearance, white fur plus golden pupils, and two protruding fangs. Completely different from his usual appearance. And why is his face so red? Suho suddenly realized she was wearing pajamas and hurriedly covered her chest. To keep Suho from feeling embarrassed, Khan said he was often like this too. But speaking of which, Suho, what are you doing here now? Suho hesitated, then lied that she just came out to see the nighttime seascape. Hearing this, Khan couldn't help but worry. How did you come here alone? And it's so dark. Suho explained she thought today was a full moon and the night would be brighter, but she didn't expect it to be a lunar eclipse night. Khan explained to her that it was because the sun, earth, and moon aligned in a straight line, so the moon would be covered by Earth's shadow, creating the so-called lunar eclipse phenomenon. And today is a special day. Suho listened but didn't know what he meant. Khan's face was getting redder and redder. Suddenly, Suho also asked what Khan was doing here. Khan stammered that he came to watch the lunar eclipse. Then Suho asked where the others went. Khan immediately broke into a cold sweat. Listening to the wolf howls nearby, he forced himself to say they were still sleeping. Then he offered to escort Suho back. After all, she had encountered vampires during the day, so he wasn't comfortable with Suho going back alone. Khan also muttered quietly, I want to spend more time with Suho. Suho immediately agreed because she was really afraid of vampires. At the same time, she was also afraid of those wild dogs nearby. Khan was confused. What wild dogs are here? Suho pointed in the direction she came from. I just saw 3 big wild dogs barking there, and they're bigger than wolves. Although they're not real wolves, it would be bad if they attacked people. Hearing this, Khan immediately said anxiously, they won't hurt people, especially those wolves just now. Suho didn't understand why Khan was so excited, wondering if he knew those wolves. Khan realized he had slipped up and hurriedly explained, I mean, wolves as animals are actually quite good. Suho said she agreed with this view. Khan was immediately overjoyed and happily asked if Suho liked wolves. Suho looked innocent, but that's only limited to TV. Real wolves are still quite scary. Khan deflated like a punctured balloon after hearing this. The next day, Suho was looking for books in the library. Unexpectedly, Heli found her. He said he had finished reading that book from last time. Suho also remembered he said he would tell her about the book's contents. Heli said the book was about stories of werewolves and vampires. Hearing this, Suho became interested. She asked, werewolves transform into wolves during full moons, right? Heli answered, that's right. Suho hesitated before continuing. What happens to werewolves during lunar eclipses? Can't they transform? Heli said he didn't know either. But supposedly, werewolves will fall in love with the first woman they see during a lunar eclipse, and they'll only love that one person forever. Hearing this, Suho was stunned. Her behavior also became somewhat restrained. Heli added, this kind of thing is very rare. These are all just legends anyway. Suho also came to her senses. Then she told Heli she had recently witnessed a lunar eclipse. Heli was a bit curious recently. Where did you see it? Only then did Suho realize she had said too much. But she honestly told Heli that she went to the seaside that night. Heli was very anxious, worried something might happen to Suho. Suho only said she wanted to see the nighttime seascape. That day was clearly a full moon, but the environment was unusually dark. Later, I heard it was caused by a lunar eclipse. Khan told me this because I happened to meet Khan there. Hearing this, Heli looked incredulous, his eyes revealing some killing intent. When Heli learned that Suho had encountered Khan on the night of the lunar eclipse, even the usually calm Heli panicked, because he knew that during a lunar eclipse, werewolves would fall in love with the first woman they saw. This legend was true, but he couldn't tell Suho about this. He could only remind Suho to bring him along next time. From his expression just now, Suho had already figured out that Khan had a very bad relationship with Heli and the others. She could only assume it was due to the rivalry between the two sides in the Nightball League. Just then, Gino popped up from behind Suho. Seeing that Suho was indeed at the library, he was very happy. Suho awkwardly pointed behind Gino. "Are you all here to borrow books?" John flipped his bangs, of course. "Suho, my hobby is reading." Cheyenne directly pulled out a quantum mechanics book to show off. Jaka couldn't stand it anymore. "John, Cheyenne, stop bragging. And Noah, you're holding your book upside down." Gino added that these guys all suffered from book aversion, and only Heli actually read books. Hearing this, Suho was embarrassed. Gino asked again, "But what were you guys just talking about?" Suho explained, "Honestly, we were discussing the content of Heli's book. It's about stories of werewolves and vampires." She also told Gino about the legend that werewolves would fall in love with the first woman they saw during a lunar eclipse. Suho asked with a smile, "How about it? Isn't it romantic?" Suddenly, the 5 people in front of her were speechless. Then Cheyenne waved his hand dismissively. "Teach! Even so, werewolves are still half mongrels." John pinched his nose in disgust. "If you get close, there'll be dog hair flying everywhere." Jaka also added, "Actually, humans make up less than 10% of their bodies." Noah nodded in agreement. Solon broke out in a cold sweat unconsciously. Right. Half human, half dog, both savage and stupid. How pitiful. Gino quickly told everyone to stop talking, since Suho had said she found it romantic. Solon was really getting carried away, falling in love with the first person you see on a lunar eclipse night. Isn't that just being an idiot? Vampires, on the other hand, are cultured and intelligent, clean and elegant with aristocratic charm. Suddenly, Suho interrupted him. But vampires don't have emotions like love anymore. No, they simply don't have that warm human heart at all. That's why they don't know what love is. Vampires are just cold and cruel monsters. Compared to vampires, I think werewolves are much better. Maybe there's no comparison at all. Vampires are the most detestable existence. After Suho finished speaking, the surroundings fell silent. Heli's face also looked extremely grim. Only then did Suho realize she might have done something wrong. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have suddenly lost my temper at you." Gino quickly comforted her that it was okay. "It's just, I really hate vampires so much, we understand." "After all, no one doesn't hate vampires," Heli said with a smile. In contrast, Cheyenne's face darkened. The letter behind him was clenched tighter in his grip. That night, Heli found Suho alone. He comforted Suho not to worry about what happened earlier, because he understood how much Suho hated vampires. "You suffered a lot before when people thought you were a vampire. I can understand that." Hearing this, Suho relaxed slightly. "Thank you, but actually, besides that, there's an even more important reason. The biggest reason I hate vampires is because a vampire killed Chris. He was my only friend. When everyone else ostracized me, he was the only one who believed in me. To prove I wasn't a vampire, he even let me bite his neck. At that time, even I couldn't believe in myself. But one day, Chris was killed by a vampire. At this point, Suho's whole body trembled. So how could I possibly like vampires? Will I ever meet such a friend again in my lifetime?" After quietly listening to everything, Heli said, "Suho, would you like to bite my neck?" As soon as Heli said this, Suho's face turned red with embarrassment. She explained that she and Chris were still young back then. But now that they've grown up, they couldn't do such embarrassing things. Knowing Suho wouldn't actually bite, Heli said he also believed in her. Looking at Heli's serious expression, Suho also spoke up. "Then Heli, can you bite my neck?" Heli was stunned upon hearing this. He struggled to suppress his instinctive urge. "See, you'd be embarrassed too." Suho's voice brought Heli back to his senses. "I just wanted to say that's how much we trusted each other back then. And he was killed by a vampire. How could I not hate vampires? Actually, I have another reason for attending this school. The library here has many old collections. So, I want to see if there's any way to eliminate vampires. But last time when I made eye contact with a vampire in the square, I was so scared that I got goosebumps all over. This made me realize one thing. Those vampires are just inhuman monsters." Heli felt somewhat dejected hearing this. Then Suho asked what Heli had come to see her about. Only then did Heli give Suho the invitation he had prepared long ago. "I'll definitely go. But whose birthday is it?" Heli explained that it was all of their birthdays, because they didn't know when they were actually born, so they used the date they escaped from the orphanage as their birthday. Meanwhile, in Solon's dorm room, Cheyenne was curled up like a deflated balloon. "If Suho knew our identity, she'd definitely be disappointed in us, right?" Hearing this, everyone else looked melancholy. Solon was more philosophical about it. Who cares if she's disappointed or not? I said from the beginning not to get too close to her. In the end, we only have ourselves. But Shion said he still wanted to play with Suho. At this point, Jaka asked first, but why does Suho hate vampires so much? Solon said disdainfully, of course humans would hate vampires. Even if we never harm anyone, in human eyes, all vampires are the same. That's true. It's impossible to make Suho believe in us unconditionally, unless we eliminate all the other vampires. Hearing this, Shion came up with an idea. We can tell Suho that Solon is a vampire. Then we can clear our names. After that, we'll burn Solon up and there'll be no evidence left. Don't worry, Solon. We'll remember you forever. Solon instantly flew into a rage upon hearing this. The previously gloomy atmosphere became lively again. Watching Shion and Solon fighting and playing around, John said they should discuss serious matters first, and this could be a plan B. Solon was devastated. Are you guys serious? So from now on, we can't use our abilities to avoid exposure. Suddenly, Noah spoke up. If we're exposed, will we be driven out again? We barely escaped from the orphanage. Gino comforted everyone. Even if Suho knew we were vampires, she probably wouldn't tell anyone, right? The next moment, he was contradicted by Solon. His expression was very serious at this time. After going through that kind of experience, you still dare to trust humans? It turned out that when they had just escaped from the orphanage, they met a girl. The girl took pity on them and sheltered them in a warehouse. But one day, the girl discovered their horrifying behavior of drinking raw chicken blood. Then she called many hunters to chase them. So they started running. Eventually, Helly and the others encountered the orphanage director again. There you are! Didn't I tell you it would be dangerous for you to leave the orphanage? That incident left a deep scar in the hearts of all 7 of them, causing them to no longer dare trust humans. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the 7's birthday. Suho was honored to be invited to attend the party. Seeing such an exquisite mansion nestled in the forest, Suho felt strange and shocked. To avoid making Suho suspicious, Helly told her it was inherited from a wealthy family. While the group was talking, more people arrived from behind. It was Khan and his group from Sunshine City School. They had also come to the party wanting to get close to Suho. At this moment, Khan's eyes were full of Suho, and he was speaking hesitantly. Before Suho could respond, Shion jumped out. We were just being polite when we said you could come. We didn't expect you to have no sense at all. Tahel replied irritably. Aren't we worried that you'd be too happy without us here? Suho quickly stopped the two from continuing their argument. Soon after, the party began. Khan stood beside Suho, his gaze constantly glancing at her. After a long while, he weakly said, I missed you, Suho. Hearing this, Suho also smiled. I'm also very happy to see you again. Although we message often, it's been a long time since we met face-to-face. At this moment, John appeared with a fierce expression. What? This guy has been messaging Suho? The two immediately disliked each other. Suho obliviously showed them the photos Khan had sent her. John's expression immediately changed. So cute. Suho, send them to me too. Khan said he loves animals, just like me. At this moment, Shion suddenly jumped out. He doesn't love animals, he himself is. Before he could finish, Gino covered his mouth. Gino said, most of the photos are wolves. Suho, do you really like wolves? Hearing this, Suho said contentedly that she did. Hearing this, Khan's face turned red with embarrassment. But I like cats the most, then squirrels, rabbits, and sheep. Hearing this, the two vampires laughed at Khan. At this moment, Suho said she had prepared gifts for everyone. Then she excitedly opened the gift box. Ta-da! Anti-vampire protection kit for self-defense. Shion and John were embarrassed. Gino also awkwardly accepted the gift. This time, Khan laughed until he cried. Several werewolves also came over to tease. Suho is so thoughtful. This gift is perfect. Hearing this, Shion was unhappy. Where are your gifts? If you came empty-handed, get lost. Then everyone took out gifts that were light in weight and meaning. Khan went even further. Here, this is dust. I feel pity giving this to you. Remember to use it sparingly. Then Suho noticed the gift box Khan was holding. Khan said this was for Suho. Suho was flustered. It's not even my birthday. Why are you giving me a gift? Khan couldn't explain why, just told Suho to open it first. After Suho opened it, she exclaimed, Ah, so cute! Are these wolf cubs? This is the cutest photo I've ever seen. This wolf looks a bit like you. Thank you, Khan. Hearing this, Khan looked satisfied. I'm glad you like it. At sunset, Suho said goodbye to Helly. Learning that Helly and the others were going to sleep there tonight, Suho originally wanted to stay and help clean up. But Helly unusually insisted that Suho go back early. In the end, Suho had to leave with Khan and the others. Not long after leaving, Suho suddenly remembered she hadn't taken the photo frame. Thinking that the frame was still with Shion made her uneasy, so she greeted the group and ran back to the mansion. When Suho returned to the mansion, she found it was completely quiet inside. And the house obviously hadn't been cleaned up yet. She thought Helly and the others might be resting. She looked around and only saw one room with lights on. Suho pushed open the door. Are you guys in there? Before she could finish, she saw Helly and the other 7 hugging something and gnawing on it raw, looking completely absorbed. Suho was immediately frozen with fear. Suho never expected that they were all vampires. Now all the strange things that had happened before made sense to her. why each of them had special abilities, why Khan and his group immediately accused Helly and the others of being the culprits when they arrived. And when she asked Helly to bite her neck, why Helly had that abnormal reaction, and all those things he said about believing she wasn't a vampire, all because they were vampires themselves. After seeing them drinking blood, Suho kept backing away. Helly desperately tried to explain. But when Suho saw his red lips stained with fresh blood, she felt even more terrified. She stumbled downstairs, but Helly's voice echoed in her mind again. Suho, please give me a chance to explain. This only made Suho flee faster. Stop sending me telepathic messages. It only makes me more scared. Helly froze upon hearing this, and he didn't continue communicating with Suho. The others' faces were also filled with regret. Suho kept running until she reached the depths of the forest. She knelt on the grass and burst into tears. She had thought that after Chris, she had met friends who believed in her. She thought they were just companions like her who had secrets. But it turned out to be nothing more than a deception. At this moment, rustling sounds came from behind Suho. Who was that? Could it be Helly coming after her? She immediately shouted, "Please don't come over. I hate vampires more than anything in this world." After seeing the person's face clearly, Suho's voice stopped abruptly. Meanwhile, Helly and the other 6 still hadn't recovered from the shock. After a moment, Helly said he wanted to go find Suho. Solon shouted, "What's the point of looking for her? What would you say after finding her? Do you think explaining now would help?" Cheyenne, who usually had the most ideas, also asked what they should do. Solon angrily scolded him, "What do you mean, what should we do? Soon everyone at school will know, and then we'll definitely have to flee again." Jaka still thought Suho wouldn't tell anyone. "Do you think she'll act like nothing happened? We're even classmates." John said they should still talk to her face to face. "Jaka, try to find where she is." Upon hearing this, Jaka used his ability to sense Suho's brainwaves. But the next moment, his face turned pale. "What's wrong? There are many vampires around Suho now." The others looked incredulous upon hearing this. Helly immediately rushed out without a word. At this time, Suho was already surrounded by vampires. "Jaka, where is Suho now?" Jaka indicated she was in the direction he was heading. After learning the location, Helly rushed there with all his strength. However, the vampires had already approached Suho. One of them extended its claws towards Suho. Suho quickly ducked down to avoid it. Then she ran through the gap between them. She ran desperately forward, but her speed was far inferior to the vampires. Just as the vampire was about to catch her, she suddenly turned around and punched that vampire directly in the abdomen, before the other vampire could react. It also took a heavy punch to the face. But when Suho turned around again, 3 vampires were already in front of her. They grabbed Suho's neck. Suho desperately tried to pry their hands away, but the arms holding her remained motionless. "Someone save me," she thought of Helly. But then she remembered his vampire appearance, so she loudly called for Khan to save her. But before Khan could arrive, the vampires were already defeated. When Suho looked ahead, those vampires were all lying on the ground motionless. It was Helly who arrived first after all, and seeing that Suho was safe, he also breathed a sigh of relief. But Suho's eyes looking at him were still full of fear. Helly didn't dare to approach rashly. "Suho, I know you must be terrified, but we're not the kind you're imagining." "Then Helly, aren't you a vampire? Aren't you all vampires? Please tell me you're not. Tell me this is all a misunderstanding." Upon hearing this, Helly choked up and couldn't speak. Only then did Suho give up hope. "You said you believed I wasn't a vampire. Did you say that because you knew I wasn't your kind?" Helly quickly denied it. "No, Suho, it's not like that." "Then if it's not like that, why did you believe me so easily?" Suho wanted an answer, but Helly still couldn't speak. Just then, someone called Suho's name from behind. Suho thought it was Khan coming. However, that person said, "It's me, I'm Chris." Suho couldn't believe it. Helly was also stunned, but Suho would never forget this face even in death. "Chris, is it really you? But how are you? How are you still alive?" At this moment, Helly received a telepathic message from Jaka. "Helly, are you with Suho now?" "Yes, what's wrong?" "While fighting vampires," Jaka explained. "Right now, there's a wavelength the same size as Suho's next to her." After he mentioned letting Suho bite his neck in the past, Suho could no longer suppress the longing in her heart. The next moment, she threw herself directly into Chris's arms. She couldn't help but pour out her pain. "Chris, do you know how much I've missed you all these years? I've never forgotten you for so long, because you're the only friend who believed in me." Standing behind them, Helly felt his heart being cut like a knife hearing her say this. He knew he had lost Suho's trust, and Chris also responded to Suho. He said he had also been missing Suho, and the reason he hadn't looked for her was because he was afraid she wouldn't believe he was still alive. "But I hope you can believe me. You don't know how much. Long time it took me to find you." Suddenly, Helly detected a hint of malice in his tone. However, Suho didn't notice anything wrong. "Chris, I believe you. As long as you're alive, that's enough." Upon hearing this, Chris lifted Suho's hand. "I'm very happy to hear you say that. You'll always be my princess," he said as he bent down gentlemanly. Suddenly, he bared his fangs and opened his mouth, his expression becoming extremely crazed. Suho was still in a daze. The next moment, a large hand grabbed Chris's neck. After seeing that it was Helly who grabbed Chris, Suho questioned, "What are you doing?" Helly didn't answer her, but glared at Chris in front of him. "You bastard, stay away from Suho." Chris just smirked. He easily removed Helly's hand. You're the one who should get lost. Suho stood aside anxiously. The next moment, Jaka landed between the two. He immediately threw a punch at Chris without a word. However, Chris remained calm. He caught Jaka's hand, then threw him aside. Seeing this, Suho anxiously shouted, "Chris, what are you?" Before she could finish, Chris answered her. "Suho, I'm saving you from these vampires." As he spoke, the others all attacked him. He calmly dodged John and Solon's attacks, and casually punched Solon in the abdomen. At this time, Gino and Cheyenne's fists also reached him, but he blocked them with both hands. How disappointing. This is all the strength you have now. It seems you don't remember anything. Before he finished speaking, black substances on the ground wrapped around his feet. Instantly climbing to his neck, this was Noah's ability. He was controlling the dark matter to restrict Chris's movements. "Who are you? Why are you targeting Suho?" Chris remained expressionless. "It seems you really don't know anything." At this time, Khan and his group finally arrived. He asked with concern, "Suho, are you okay?" Chris showed a playful smile. Suddenly, intense purple energy burst forth, covering a 100-meter radius. After the explosion, everyone was lying on the ground. Helly was the first to regain consciousness. Khan also anxiously inquired about Suho's whereabouts. Only then did Helly realize there was no sign of Suho around. At this time, Suho had already been taken by Chris to 100 meters away. She struggled in Chris's arms. "Why are you doing this?" Upon hearing this, Chris looked tender. "Didn't I tell you? I'm protecting you from harm by those vampires." Hearing this, Suho also thought of the scene of Helly drinking blood. She was momentarily speechless and couldn't refute, and Chris kept rambling, "I'm the only friend who believes in you, so you should believe in me too." But Helly still caught up with them. He immediately tried to attack Chris's head without a word. Chris, holding Suho with both hands, couldn't resist at all. Just as Helly's claws were about to reach Chris, Suho shouted loudly, "Helly, no!" Helly's body was immediately frozen. At this moment, a flash of malice appeared in Chris's eyes. Then he gave Helly a heavy kick. Only then did Suho cry out Helly's name in concern. Then she pushed Chris away and ran directly toward Helly. However, the next moment she was caught by Chris. "Why are you looking for that guy? Have you forgotten because of whom I died?" Upon hearing this, Suho's heart trembled, but she immediately reacted, "You're not Chris. Who are you exactly?" Seeing this, Chris smiled slightly. He didn't intend to pretend anymore. Then he revealed his originally ferocious expression. "Then who do you think I would be?" As he spoke, he also bared his two fangs. Suho was so frightened she froze on the spot. The next moment, Chris spit down. "Why does this taste wrong?" Chris looked up. Only then did he discover he had bitten Solon's arm. So he suddenly reached out and grabbed Solon's neck. Seeing Solon getting more and more uncomfortable, Suho anxiously wanted to help, but was slapped away several meters by Chris. Then Suho lay on the ground motionless. Seeing this, Solon's anger surged. In a few breaths, he transformed into a giant wolf. Suho also regained consciousness at this time. She was also stunned seeing Solon's appearance. Solon didn't care about anything else. He pressed a claw on Chris's chest, then opened his mouth wide toward him, and bit down on his neck. However, even after transforming into a wolf, Solon was still no match for Chris. Chris swatted him away with a wave of his hand. His body slid more than 10 meters on the ground. This scene made Suho shout anxiously, but at this time, Chris was also seriously injured. And Khan's group also caught up. Chris's face was full of impatience. He was about to take action. However, the next moment he was stopped by Suho. Chris looked determined. "Although I don't want to treat you this way. Since you're interfering with me, I'll cripple you first." Just as his attack was about to hit Suho, Helly suddenly appeared and carried Suho away. But his back also solidly took Chris's attack. Khan and the others also realized the enemy wasn't an ordinary vampire. So they all transformed into giant wolves to unleash their full strength. While Chris was still distracted by Suho, Khan and the others transformed into several wolves, pounced in front of Chris. They bit different parts of Chris's body. However, the next moment, enormous energy burst from Chris's body. At this time, Haley's back bore several deep claw marks visible to the bone. But he still asked about Suho's injuries with concern. Seeing this, Suho couldn't care about being afraid anymore. She cried her heart out. "Helly, I can't tell anymore. That's not the Chris I knew." The Chris I knew. He wasn't the kind who would suck blood. Suho didn't say the last word, but Helly also understood the meaning. So he kept apologizing to Suho. "I'm sorry, Suho. I'm sorry. I actually exist like this. Even if you hate me for a lifetime, can you let me take you away first? I want to take you to a safer place." At this time, Helly, a vampire, was also crying like a baby. Suho looked at Helly and didn't answer immediately. Meanwhile, Khan and the others were engaged in a bloody battle with Chris. After repelling Khan and the others, Chris was also exhausted. Before he could catch his breath, Jaka landed beside him. Chris wanted to attack. Only then did he discover his feet were already controlled. All four except Noah swarmed up. Chris's face became increasingly ferocious. Then intense purple light shot from his body. A large area of forest suddenly became bright as daylight. After several people recovered their vision, Chris was no longer there. John was the first to react and look for Suho. At this time, Suho and Helly had already run to a distance. The moonlight shining on them seemed somewhat ambiguous. Seeing another side of Haley, Suho was also at a loss. Haley then told her about the past of the 7 of them. After escaping from the orphanage, we hid our identities. Especially from you, Suho. Rather than being afraid that others would know we're vampires, we were more afraid that you would be disappointed in us. Hearing this, Suho felt her mind was in chaos. She said she couldn't believe that Haley and the others were all vampires. Didn't you say you all grew up together in the orphanage? So how did you become vampires? Were you all bitten by a vampire when you were young? Hearing this, Haley was also very confused. We don't know why we became vampires either. We don't know anything. From a certain day, we suddenly became vampires. That place nominally called an orphanage. Actually, we were imprisoned there growing up. As for what kind of existence we are, and how we became vampires, we don't know the answers to any of these questions. And we're different from ordinary vampires. Sunlight, crosses, even holy water can't affect us. Hearing this, Suho anxiously said, "Then how do you know you're vampires? Although everyone has special abilities, it's possible that like me, you're just special humans." Hearing this, Haley didn't hold much hope, because we want to drink blood. We don't want to eat anything except blood, and even if we don't eat anything, we won't die. After hearing the answer, Suho looked somewhat disappointed. Haley continued painfully, "But we only drink blood on our birthdays each year, and we only drink the blood of animals that are already dead. We've never done anything to harm humans." Haley begged Suho to believe him, and said he would work hard to make Suho believe. But Suho was very puzzled. "Then why did you come to save me? Weren't you afraid I would hate you? Weren't you afraid I would tell others at school about your secret? Because I felt I had to come save you. From the first moment I saw you, I felt this was my destiny, who I am, what kind of life I should live, and the purpose of my existence. I knew nothing about any of this. For the first time, I had such a clear answer. I was born to protect you, and I will live to protect you." After saying this, Haley's face naturally turned red. Suho's heart was also beating fast after hearing this. Suddenly she said, "Haley, do you want to bite me?" Hearing this, Haley's pupils contracted sharply. No, he didn't dare look directly at Suho, afraid he couldn't control himself. Seeing this, Suho gently tugged at Haley's clothes. She looked at Haley earnestly and said, "I believe in you." A few minutes later, moonlight was streaming through the woods, and Haley's mouth was pressed against Suho's neck. In the grove, moonlight streamed onto a man and woman sitting on a tree trunk. Suho's face was flushed red, her eyes wide. Haley's face was red, his eyes tightly closed. After a moment, Haley reluctantly left Suho's neck. Just lifting his head took almost all of Haley's strength. He asked Suho, "Are you okay?" Suho nodded gently. "I'm fine, you just pressed your lips against me." "Haley, how are you? You look very tired. Do you really want to drink my blood?" Hearing this, Haley lowered his head in shame. To say I didn't feel the urge would be a lie. But more than that, I'm afraid of losing your trust again, even knowing I'm a vampire. You're still willing to believe in me. I don't want to disappoint someone like you. You didn't disappoint me. Suho's words made Haley stunned. "Haley, you've never disappointed me. You know this too. I used to hate vampires more than anyone, because back then I thought they were all dangerous beings. But this time, and many times before, it was always you, Haley, who came to save me. I was really happy when you came to save me. Even if you're a vampire, I don't hate you. I mean all of you. Also, I'm sorry for speaking too harshly just now. Now that we understand each other, I hope we can be closer than before." Hearing this, Haley was stunned for several seconds. Only after a while did he dare believe he hadn't misheard. At this moment, Jaka's anxious voice came through Haley's mind. "Haley, that guy disappeared. You're with Suho now, right? Is Suho okay?" Haley guiltily said she was fine. After learning the situation, Jaka said he was going to find Haley and the others. Haley was slightly surprised. "You're coming over now?" Only then did Jaka realize something was wrong. Suho probably doesn't want us to come over, right? The others also looked troubled upon hearing this. Haley then looked at Suho beside him to ask for her opinion. "Haley, tell them we'll go find them." A few minutes later, Suho and Haley returned to everyone's side. Khan and his group were the first to come forward. They told Suho not to worry about them. After all, they were very strong. However, the next moment, Khan's face became full of worry. He told Suho that he and the others were werewolves. Suho hadn't expected this, because she hadn't seen them transform into wolves earlier. Khan explained that they had hidden their identities from others. They were even more unable to tell Suho, just like what Haley had said before. After hearing Khan's explanation, Suho was moved to tears. "I don't hate you, no matter what kind of beings you are, even if you're werewolves or vampires." While speaking, Suho looked toward Solon and the other 6 in the distance. Solon and the others were worried and somewhat puzzled, until Suho called out each of their names one by one. "I'm especially grateful to all of you. I've been hiding my abilities since I was young, but you still accepted me. I'm really happy and thankful to you all. So can you give me this opportunity this time?" After hearing this, everyone was confused and at a loss. Gino was the first to speak. "Of course, we should be thanking you. I hope we can become better friends from now on. The hot summer was the best time for boys to sweat it out. The happiest thing was having a girl you liked come cheer you on." Seeing Suho's arrival, Xion immediately came over happily. Suho asked Xion if training was going smoothly. John suddenly pushed over. "Suho, don't worry. I'll dedicate the victory to you." Suho quickly agreed. At the same time, she noticed Haley walking over. Haley said they would give their all for Suho. Hearing this, Suho blushed shyly. At this moment, an annoyed voice rang out. "You'll get hurt staying here. You'd better not come over." Hearing this, Suho smiled sweetly. "So, Solon, are you worried I'll get hurt?" Solon obviously didn't expect Suho to say this. He turned away proudly. "It's not like that. It's just that having you here makes us very conscious and will interfere with our game." Suho continued smiling. "So you're very conscious of me?" Solon's face immediately turned red, and he was speechless for a moment. "Solon, after practice ends, can we chat for a while?" The unexpected invitation made Solon feel a bit strange. After practice ended, he came to the flower bed as promised. He asked Suho proudly, "What do you want with me?" Suho smiled awkwardly. "Why didn't you change clothes before coming over?" Solon suddenly interrupted her. "Get to the point." Hearing this, Suho stopped beating around the bush. "I want to say thank you and sorry to you, especially to you. I heard that the others didn't know you could turn into a werewolf before. You were discovered by them because you saved me that day." Solon didn't let Suho finish. "I only transformed because I found that guy too disgusting. It has nothing to do with you." "But who exactly was that guy? Why did he want to take you away?" Hearing this, Suho lowered her head. "I don't know either. Chris was my only friend when I was young. I don't know why he became like this, or why he wanted to take me away. This makes me very afraid he'll appear again. But at the same time, I feel my thoughts are pathetic because he was my most precious friend." Hearing this, Solon raised a question. "Could it be that you mistook him for someone else? Maybe they just look alike." Hearing this, Suho answered, "But he knew secrets that only Chris and I knew. I never told anyone else about this secret, although I did tell Helly once, but other than that." Suddenly, Suho thought of something. Previously, Chris had suddenly appeared in her dreams, and to make him recognize her, she had revealed those old secrets. Thinking of this, Suho felt a chill of fear. Solon was somewhat puzzled. Suho continued explaining, "I sometimes have very realistic dreams, so realistic that I can still remember the sensations and tastes." Hearing this, Solon's expression became serious. "Are you sure those were really just dreams?" Hearing this, Suho was stunned. She remembered what Chris had told her when they were young. "I heard from everyone that you've moved several times. You never go out during the day, and you always wander around alone at night." But Suho thought something was wrong. If it were sleepwalking, the timing wouldn't match up, and she couldn't possibly have gotten to the seaside in such a short time. The more she thought about it, the more afraid she became, but she still couldn't figure it out. Seeing this, Solon told her not to worry too much about it. "If that guy appears again, No, we definitely won't let him off." Hearing this, Suho looked at Solon with emotion. "Thank you, Solon, both then and now." Solon's face turned red again. Then he quickly urged Suho to go inside and sleep. Only then did he breathe a sigh of relief. He suddenly said in a low voice, "What are you doing coming to someone else's school? And at this hour too?" It turned out that Enzi and Khan had suddenly come to their school. Of course, Solon didn't give them a good face, directly asking what they were doing here. Hearing this, Khan was also full of anger. "It's none of your business." Instead, Enzi kindly explained that they were worried about Suho. Knowing their purpose, Solon became even more vigilant. "Go back to your own school. We'll take good care of Suho." Khan was dismissive, feeling that Suho was always in danger when she was with them. Hearing this, Solon became even angrier. Seeing the two were about to clash, Enzi played peacemaker. "You two calm down. If this continues, Suho will hear. We're all the same kind, so let's get along well." Hearing this, Solon got anxious. "Who's the same kind as you? I'm a vampire." The word vampire made Khan frown again, right? Those guys who attacked Suho were also vampires. Solon said they were different from those guys. But Khan still wouldn't let up. "That's just your own view. To others, you and other vampires are all the same." Hearing this, Solon was grinding his teeth in anger. "Do you think we wanted to become vampires? We don't even know if we were born or created. Since we became conscious, we were already vampires. We spent the first half of our lives locked up in a place called Vamfield Orphanage, which was actually no different from a prison. The director was constantly monitoring our every move. Not having seen other people, we initially didn't know we were vampires. Only after escaping from there with great difficulty did we realize we were different from others." At this point, Khan had already lowered his head in guilt over his behavior. Solon continued, "We're not like other vampires who fear sunlight, and we only drink blood once a year. We don't drink human blood either. So those previous tragedies weren't our doing at all." At this point, Enzi interrupted Solon. "Speaking of that victim, she looked a lot like Suho. Maybe those guys did it while searching for Suho." Hearing this, Solon felt a chill of fear. So those guys have been targeting Suho for a long time? At this moment, Khan remembered that members of their kind had been disappearing in recent years. Probably the work of the same group. But they'll appear again sooner or later. "We can't let Suho be in danger anymore." Solon's eyes were resolute. "I agree with your point. But this matter has nothing to do with you." "It does," Khan answered quickly. This answer was obviously beyond Solon's expectations. Khan said seriously, "Because I like Suho." "What?" Solon shouted directly upon hearing this. At the same time, Suho's surprised cry came from the nearby doorway. Khan's face immediately turned red as he stammered, "Suho, did you hear that?" Suho also nervously answered from inside the room, "Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop." Only then did she realize that werewolves really do fall in love with the first woman they see on the night of the lunar eclipse. At this moment, Khan had walked to the doorway. "Suho, what I just said was all sincere. Werewolves only love one person in their lifetime, so I will only love you for the rest of my life. The Nightball League is coming up soon. I hope you can come cheer for me." Hearing this, Suho didn't know how to respond. After a while, Khan continued, "Sorry for suddenly telling you all this. I'll leave now then. Good night, Suho." So Khan and Enzi left directly. Solon, who was left behind, didn't react for a long time. Suddenly, Jaka's voice came through. "Solon, where are you now? Come back quickly. The director of the orphanage where we grew up, Marge, has found us." Facing Marge, the director, Helly, and the others had serious expressions. Solon also rushed back immediately upon hearing the news. Seeing all 7 gathered, Marge said she had something to tell them, but Cheyenne's reaction was very intense. "I don't want to listen. Get out of here right now." Helly was the first to calm down. "It's been 120 years. I thought after so much time you would have given up. I didn't expect you to still be looking for us. So how exactly did you find us?" Hearing this, Marge took off her hat. "Actually, I'm not here to find you. Anyway, there's not much time left now, although you might find it hard to believe. But from now on, what I'm going to say, 100 years, Solon suddenly interrupted her. "You imprisoned us for a full 100 years. After 120 years, you suddenly appear again, and now want us to believe what you say." Only then did Marge anxiously explain, "I wasn't imprisoning you." Then she looked troubled. "To be precise, I had to do that. I was protecting you." Jaka and the others looked incredulous. Haley then asked who wanted to harm them. Marge hesitated for a moment before slowly saying the first vampire. "The reason I hid you in Vanfield House was to prevent the first vampire and his vampire subordinates from harming you, because their goal is to eliminate you." After hearing this, everyone unconsciously broke out in cold sweat. Gina was the first to ask who the first vampire was and why he wanted to eliminate them. John just felt that Marge was lying, trying to trick them back to that hellish place. At this moment, Marge addressed their long-standing confusion. "You know you're different from other vampires. Aren't you curious why?" These words made everyone quiet down. "That's not because you were created. On the contrary, other vampires are the defective products made by the first vampire. That's why they fear sunlight, lack reason, and can't suppress their desire for blood. You're different. You inherited the ancient power. You're the only vampire nobility, and the first vampires see you as the greatest threat. That's why he's determined to eliminate you. The first vampire was the first human to become a vampire using some evil method. Anyone bitten by him becomes his subordinate. And these subordinates are also contagious, because they can't suppress their bloodthirsty instincts. The vampire population grew rapidly, and they used their numerical advantage to attack ancient kingdoms. That's why only you remain of the vampire nobility. So I hid you in Vanfield House. I hoped you could grow up without knowing you were vampires." At this point, Solon immediately denied her claims. "Impossible. Absolutely impossible. We all spent our childhood in the orphanage. None of what you're saying ever happened." Seeing this, Marge patiently explained, "During the previous battle with the first vampire, the situation became increasingly dire. To protect the ancient power, we sealed your powers and sent you to the future. But you also lost all your memories because of this and became infants. In the 19th century, I went around the world searching for you. Then I brought you back to Vanfield House one by one. But you're also aware that you won't grow up anymore, because you're already in your original form and will never age." At this point, Gina was somewhat confused. "Then, if that's the case, why didn't the first vampire find us during all this time?" Marge explained, "That's because your powers were still sealed. But 17 years ago, your seals began to break." Hearing this, Helly remembered what Suha had said before. "According to my parents, vampires were just things in novels before I was born. I don't know why they suddenly appeared." So Helly asked Marge, "Did something happen 17 years ago?" Marge suddenly frowned. Then she slowly said, 17 years ago, the princess was reborn, so the seal she placed within you was also broken. This allowed the first vampire to sense your presence more easily." John felt she was just making things up. Cheyenne also didn't believe it. He asked Marge, "Who is the princess? Where is she?" Marge didn't plan to hide it. "The princess is now in this school. The entire school can now feel the princess's wavelength." Hearing this, Helly already had a guess. Marge continued explaining, "Didn't I tell you? I'm not here to find you. I sense the princess's wavelength. Her wavelength will grow stronger as she grows up, and the first vampire has definitely sensed it too. If this continues, his sensing of her location will only become more precise." "Jaka, your senses are the most keen. You should already know who the princess is." Hearing this, Jaka looked incredulous. Could it be that the princess he's talking about is... If you meet the princess, you'll sense it. That's your destiny and the meaning of your existence. Your being's born to protect the princess. So when the princess was reborn, the seals within you were broken. But the first vampire's wavelength is also growing stronger. He must have sensed the princess's presence and recovered his long-dormant power. His ultimate goal is to get the princess under his control and manipulate her as he pleases, because he wants the princess's original power." Everyone listening also thought of the guy who had attacked before. That was the first vampire. And as obstacles in his way, they became targets the first vampire wanted to eliminate. Everyone was sweating profusely as they all asked Helly what they should do. Although what she said sounded like fantasy, it also provided answers to all their long-standing questions. Jaka asked her what she wanted them to do by telling them all this. Marge's expression became increasingly serious. The first vampire is regaining his original power at an alarming rate. The vampires following him will also increase rapidly, but the princess's abilities are hard to develop, because she gave her power to you before sending you here. So, I need to take the princess away. I'll take her to a safe place. Then you use this time to deal with the first vampire. Hearing this, everyone got excited. Xion even directly called out Suha's name. Marge realized it wasn't strange that they had met the princess. So where is the princess now? John angrily said, I won't let you take Suha away. How can we trust you? Marge only said she was the princess's most trusted teacher and had raised the princess herself. However, no one believed what she said. How do you prove you're not someone sent by the first vampire? Marge explained, if that were the case, I would have targeted the princess from the beginning. There'd be no need to tell you all this here. Once the princess falls into the first vampire's hands, this world will become hell. There's not much time left. I must take her away. Helly said calmly, what you're saying might be true, but it might also be false. Helly's gaze became increasingly sharp, and we can't gamble on this possibility with you. Everyone agreed with Helly's viewpoint. If protecting Suha is our destiny, as you say, then you're also a dangerous factor. Before you provide evidence that proves your words, don't try to get within half a step of Suha. If Suha faces even the slightest danger, I absolutely won't let you off. I'm no longer the child you remember. To prevent Marge from making any underhanded moves, Helly came to Suha's door early to wait for her. Helly said gently, I'm waiting to go to class with you. Can we walk together? Suha readily agreed, but thinking about what happened that day, she felt somewhat awkward every time she was alone with Helly. In contrast, Helly seemed very natural. Helly asked if Suha had anything else to do after school, as he wanted to invite her to watch the Nightball League. Suha agreed wholeheartedly. Helly continued asking, you'll come cheer for us, right? Of course, Suha answered somewhat guiltily. But she also thought about Khan saying that night that he hoped she would cheer for him. Helly didn't seem to notice anything wrong. Suha, I'll do my best for you. With that sweet talk, Suha's face turned completely red. She didn't know what to do, after all. Both sides were very good friends of hers. Until after school, Suha was still troubled by this. Excuse me, someone suddenly called out to Suha. She was about to turn around to look, but Helly came up to greet her. Didn't we agree that you'd come watch our game? Let's go together. Suha pointed behind Helly, but someone just called me. Helly quickly pushed Suha forward. There's no one there. You must have misheard. Suha was half convinced but could only leave. Helly turned back to glare in warning. Marge behind them also looked troubled. At the game venue, both sides were ready. Suha, watching from the sidelines, was also nervous. She stood between the two schools, not knowing what to do. Tahel didn't forget to mock them. I didn't expect you could make it to the finals. Jaka smiled faintly at this. You should think about how you're going to win. Didn't you say your brothers would come back? Hearing this, Najak was a bit annoyed. Dealing with you guys, we few are enough. The usually lively Xion waved at Suha from the sidelines. Suha, our cheering section is over there. Go over there and cheer for us. Suha didn't know how to answer, but her body honestly didn't move. Khan had been watching this side. Suha, for you, I will definitely win. Mahan, Ruslan, Camille, if only you could come. We clearly made plans before, but now there's no word from you at all. The game started not long after. Both sides played very hard. Suha was also watching nervously from the sidelines. Helly scored first. In the middle, Marge found Suha. I have something to tell you. After the first half ends, let's meet at the exit. This is very important. Please make sure to come. Perhaps afraid of being discovered by Haley. Without waiting for Suha's refusal, Marge hurried away. Soon after, the first half ended. The score was 10-9, with Helly's school leading by 1 point. Suha was still wondering whether to keep the appointment. Xion called out to her, Suha, did you see me score just now? Getting Suha's praise, Xion beamed with joy. Solon passed by behind him and complained, it's just 1 goal. Although I scored 2 goals, I wouldn't say such things. Everyone knows anyway. So the two started arguing again. Gino also walked over at this time. Suha, our cheering section is over there. You can go cheer there. Suha was still thinking about how to respond. At this moment, Khan walked up. Suha, although we're still behind, we'll win back in the second half. For you, so please cheer for us. Our cheering section is over there. Just when Suha was extremely conflicted, Helly came close to Suha's ear. I have something to tell you, so I came up. Come, let's go over here to talk. As he spoke, Helly pushed Suha toward his side. Then he whispered, cheer for us. Suha exclaimed, so that's all you wanted to say? Helly said nothing more and jumped back onto the field. Suha couldn't move positions anymore. Seeing the game was about to start, Suha remembered that person who might still be waiting at the exit. She said it was something very important. Maybe she should go check it out. The second half was even more intense than the first. Although both sides were tired, they used all their strength to win this game. The final score came to 20-20, with very little time left. At the crucial moment, Helly got the ball. Khan was following closely behind him. Helly looked toward the sidelines, wanting Suha to see his winning shot. But Suha's seat was empty. This made Helly panic. Khan took advantage of this to tackle him and steal the ball. But Helly's gaze remained fixed on that seat. Just a few minutes earlier, Suha had come to the exit for the appointment. But waiting, there wasn't just Marge. There were also several vampires. Khan stole Helly's ball and won the game. While they were still celebrating their victory, Only Helly was the first to realize Suha was missing. Helly had never been so panicked before, as if the whole sky was falling. He shouted Suha's name toward the audience, hoping for her response. This caught Khan and the others' attention. In an instant, Helly ran to the audience section. During the game, he had been watching Suha. She only disappeared when the game was almost over. He thought it could only be that old witch Marge is doing. Only then did the others realize that Suha was missing. Helly also contacted Jaka to have him search for Suha's location. Jaka calmed down and searched carefully. But the next moment, his face turned pale, because he couldn't sense Suha's wavelength at all now, as if she had vanished into thin air. Everyone was puzzled about why they couldn't sense her. Jaka said there were only two possibilities. Either Suha had lost consciousness or she was no longer in a living state. Hearing this, everyone's hearts tightened. When Helly came to the back of the venue, he also felt something was wrong, because he saw bloodstains remaining on the ground. Not knowing what to do, he could only loudly call out Suha's name. At this moment, Khan and the others also came over upon hearing the commotion. "Where's Suha? Have you found Suha?" When Khan saw the bloodstains on the ground, his heart also felt ice cold. He immediately called his companions to search, saying it must be the vampires from that night who took Suha. Enzi hesitantly spoke up. "Maybe we can find them. Our brothers have been tracking vampires all along, and now they should be able to find their location, so now we need to contact our brothers first." Jaka and the others also hurried over. Helly had Jaka search for Marge's location, but Jaka had tried that too. He couldn't find her either. So everyone made up their minds. Let's go to Vanfield House where we grew up. Not long after, everyone changed clothes and arrived at Vanfield House. After 120 years, everyone still felt residual fear. They encouraged each other before entering. Going inside the orphanage, everyone marveled that it was exactly the same as before. It seemed what Marge said might be true. This orphanage was built just for us. Only Helly looked worried. They had now searched all the rooms. Only Marge's office was left. Everyone carefully opened the door and went in. This place had obviously been inhabited recently. It seemed that even when they weren't here, Marge hadn't left. At this moment, they discovered Marge's suitcase. Everyone deduced that it wasn't Marge who took Suha, because if it were her, she wouldn't have left her suitcase behind. Obviously, this suitcase was prepared in advance. She planned to take Suha away with her once she found her. And now Jaka couldn't sense her wavelength either. So it seemed both of them had been captured by the first vampire. Cheyenne thought for a moment and said, "Could it be that what Marge said before was all true?" Hearing this, Helly was very remorseful. Should they have handed Suha over to Marge back then? So I'm the one who put Suha in danger? Just then, Jaka suddenly had a feeling. What's this? Someone is approaching here. Hearing this, everyone looked toward the door. They could only hear footsteps slowly approaching. Suddenly, a sharp claw extended inside. Everyone's heartbeat quickened. At this moment, several vampires had already entered through the doorway. Everyone was puzzled. Why were they here? Did they know we were here and come? Before they could think further, the vampires had already rushed over frantically. These defective products were obviously no match for Helly and the others. Helly immediately grabbed one of them and said, "Why are you here?" The vampire struggled desperately but didn't answer. Instead, Helly came up with the answer himself. If this orphanage only existed for us, why was Marge still here after we left? Could it be that she can't leave this place? Thinking of this, he quickly shouted, "Hurry to the library! There's something they want there. This thing might be related to Suha's life. We absolutely can't let them take it." At this moment in the library, a vampire was examining a book. On the other side, Suho was placed by the first vampire on a large circular platform, her condition unknown. The first vampire gently stroked Suha's hair and said softly, "Suha, wait a little longer. Soon they'll bring the book that can make us one. But there's a prerequisite for them to merge into one. That is, they need an ancient book called the Blood Altar." So Darden sent his subordinates to Bloodfield House to search for it, and coincidentally, Helly's group of 7 also came here, looking for Suha. Helly was the first to realize that what the vampires were looking for was in the library. But when Jaka and the other 2 rushed over, they encountered heavy resistance. When they entered the library, the vampires inside had already escaped through the window. Upon learning this, Helly immediately captured a vampire. "Did your accomplices steal something from the library?" At this moment, Cheyenne stepped forward. "Helly, let me ask." Cheyenne's pupils flickered with golden light. "Answer my question. What are you looking for here?" And the vampire's pupils also rippled with waves. "Looking for books. We came to look for books." Cheyenne continued to inquire. "What book are you looking for?" "The Blood Altar. We're here to find books about the Blood Altar." "So what is this the Blood Altar you're talking about?" "I don't know either. We just need to find the book and deliver it to the Railgun Bar in Printanier. That's all I know. I just follow orders." Before he finished speaking, the vampire suddenly rolled his eyes back and dead. Seeing the dead vampire, everyone was confused about what happened. Meanwhile, Dardan's expression was cold and stern. "Foolish creature, should have died earlier. Even gave information to those people." At this moment, continuous wolf howls echoed here. Around the huge circular altar, iron cages were set up, each containing several wolves. Marge was also slowly getting up in one of the iron cages. She shouted toward the door, "Dardan, let the princess go immediately. I've told you long ago, you can't continue doing that." Dardan's expression remained indifferent. Then he put on a harmless appearance again. You said the same thing back then, but look at me now. I possess such powerful strength, stronger than all of you. So my choice was correct. I'm about to become the ancestor of a new race. From now on, please call me the first vampire. Don't call me Dardan anymore. Hearing this, Marge gritted her teeth in hatred. After calming down, she said in a low voice, You know, your power is still incomplete. You should know this better than anyone. Hearing this, Dardan smiled calmly. I know. Then he pointed at Suho. So now I want to grasp complete power in my hands. Marge, if you would cooperate with me obediently, the princess could have rested peacefully long ago. Look, she has to suffer like this again in this lifetime. How pitiful. On the other side of the street, a red-haired man walked staggeringly. Those disgusting vampires actually kidnapped so many of our kind. I need to tell the brothers about this quickly. Meanwhile, Khan and the other four were still completely clueless. Khan was extremely regretful, feeling that it was because he was too focused on winning or losing the competition. That Suho was captured. Whether as a wolf or as a human, I'm inadequate. Enzi beside him consoled. Don't worry, the brothers have been tracking the vampires. Maybe they've already made some progress, but they haven't contacted us for a long time. The urgent matter is to find them. Suddenly, the red-haired man burst through the door shouting, This is terrible! Everyone was startled. Mahan, were you beaten up? Mahan said that when they were tracking vampires, they encountered an androgynous vampire. The mist it emanated could make them completely powerless. Mahan, Camille, and Ruslan were quickly knocked unconscious. When Mahan woke up, he found himself taken to a warehouse. Inside were all imprisoned wolves of his kind. Mahan barely managed to escape, but Camille and Ruslan were nowhere to be found. After hearing Mahan's account, Khan and Enzi were stunned. Tahel asked why they were kidnapping werewolves. But Mahan wasn't clear either. He only knew they were using him and his fellow wolves as test subjects. Anyway, the brothers are in danger now. We must go to Railgun to rescue them. The next morning, on a certain train, perhaps due to exhaustion from the previous night, Heli was dozing heavily, but his brow remained furrowed. Suho, where are you? In the pitch-black space, Heli searched aimlessly for Suho. Even someone as strong as him had tears welling up in his anxious eyes. Then a beam of light shone down on a circular platform not far in front of him, and Suho was lying quietly on it. Seeing this, Heli immediately sprinted toward the platform, but an invisible barrier blocked his path. Heli could only keep pounding on the barrier. Suho, are you okay? Are you hurt? Where are you now? I'll come find you. Suho on the platform seemed to hear Heli's call. Her lips moved slightly, but Heli couldn't hear what she was saying at all. Sword, in the temple. Go to the temple and bring the sword to the blood altar. Heli was still bewildered. At this moment, tears flowed from Suho's eyes as she murmured, Save me, Heli. However, Heli was gradually swallowed by darkness. Then Heli woke up in reality. Tears kept flowing from his eyes. His emotions couldn't calm down for a long time. At this moment, Jaka beside him suddenly called out, Heli, I just dreamed of Suho too. Not just him, Shion, Gino, John, Noah, and Solon. All 7 of them dreamed of Suho. They dreamed of Suho lying on an altar-like place, calling for their help. It wasn't until evening that they arrived at the railgun bar. Jaka reminded everyone to be careful, as the area was full of low-level vampires. Solon didn't think the first vampire would hide in such a place. This was at most one of his strongholds. Jaka still couldn't sense Suho and Marge's wavelengths, nor the first vampire's wavelength inside. What was noteworthy was that there was a special presence inside, clearly different from the low-level vampires, so they decided to go in and take a look. But inside it was dimly lit with not a single person in sight. At this moment, Jaka pointed toward the liquor cabinet not far ahead. I can sense that guy is inside there. Then they moved the liquor cabinet aside, revealing a narrow staircase. At the bottom of the stairway was an iron door. Inside the iron door was nothing but darkness. Seeing this, everyone became alert. They felt the darkness was mixed with something. Before they could think further, the iron door was slammed shut heavily. The door was locked from the outside. John said he would open the door. If it was locked from outside, he would tear the whole door apart. Before he finished speaking, John felt completely unable to use his strength. The others also felt the same weakness in their bodies. Solon immediately realized something was wrong with this black mist. Then a voice came from behind them, just as the first vampire predicted. You really came... Heli could sense that the opponent wasn't an ordinary vampire. He also guessed that this black mist was that person's doing. The person spoke again. This mist can make you completely powerless. Soon you'll be able to sleep. You're more resilient than I imagined. Heli realized the situation was urgent and quickly called his companions to get outside first. John used all his strength and barely managed to break the door. But when he opened the door, his pupils constricted. Before him appeared rows of vampires. They attacked without a word. John had nowhere to dodge. Suddenly, their movements froze. Noah used his ability to restrict their movements. But he now looked very strained. John, get out of the way quickly. I can't hold on much longer. As the vampires struggled desperately, Noah finally exhausted his last bit of strength. The vampires pounced on everyone like hungry wolves. John, standing by the door, was immediately grabbed by the throat. Gino wanted to help rescue him, but the flames in his hands flickered unsteadily. Solon couldn't transform into a werewolf due to insufficient moonlight. The others were also in terrible condition. Under the effect of this black mist, they couldn't display their true strength. Even Heli's consciousness was gradually blurring. He closed his eyes weakly. At this moment, Suho's voice suddenly appeared in his mind. Then his body emanated golden light. The attacking vampires were killed by him in return. At this time, a golden pattern appeared on the back of Heli's hand. The others were the same. They not only recovered their original strength, but seemed even more powerful than before. Heli looked at the pattern on his hand and seemed to think of something. Solon directly transformed into wolf form. He killed the vampire who was trying to ambush Noah. Even his paws had the pattern. And all this was thanks to Suho bathing in moonlight. Seeing this, the long-haired vampire leader was no longer calm. He couldn't understand how they recovered their strength, so he stopped holding back. More black mist emanated from his body. Heli and the others were soon enveloped by the black mist. All they could see was pitch darkness. Heli urgently shouted, "We need to deal with that mist-using guy first. Jaka, find his position." Suddenly, a pair of blood-red eyes appeared behind Heli. Before Heli could react, he was pierced through the body by the opponent's claws. At this moment, he couldn't speak. As the long-haired vampire withdrew his hand, Heli collapsed to the ground. Far away, Suho's brow also furrowed. The long-haired vampire laughed triumphantly, "Let me eliminate you one by one." Before he finished speaking, he felt a chill down his spine. The next moment, he was grabbed by the throat. Shan was hanging from the ceiling, lifting him up. He shouted to everyone, "Got him! He's here!" John reacted first. He grabbed a large iron door nearby and threw it directly, seeing the iron door flying toward him. The long-haired vampire concentrated all his strength and deflected the iron door with one punch, but he froze the next moment. Jaka was already in front of him, holding an iron pipe. Suspended in midair, he had no way to dodge. Then he was pierced through the heart. Jaka landed on the ground ahead to prevent the opponent from faking death. However, the long-haired vampire remained motionless. The surrounding black mist also gradually dissipated. The pile of vampires at the entrance suddenly let out screams. Then they all collapsed to the ground. Everyone was confused by this situation. Gino explained that because these vampires were all bitten by the long-haired vampire, once he was killed, they would also lose their lives. Looking at the vampires filling the entire corridor, John cursed angrily. How many people did this bastard harm? At this moment, Gino turned around and discovered Heli was lying motionless in a pool of blood. Everyone gathered around him. Far away, Suho's brow was tightly furrowed, tears also flowing from her eyes. But soon, the large hole pierced through Heli's abdomen was healing at a visible speed. Before long, Heli slowly awakened. Everyone found it incredible. At this moment, Shion mentioned the pattern that appeared on their hands. Heli looked at his already healed abdomen again and believed it was Suho helping them. The others nodded in agreement with his view. Then Heli asked about the long-haired vampire. John said he had been dealt with, and the other vampires had died along with him. Heli remembered Marge saying the first vampire was the first vampire. If they killed him, it would be equivalent to eliminating all vampires. At this moment, they heard movement in the pile of corpses. It was a vampire who had been pinned underneath. John immediately captured him and asked about the first vampire and Suho's whereabouts. The vampire claimed he didn't know until Shion hypnotized him. Only then did he say that everything gathered here would be taken to a city called Autumnal. Not long after everyone left, another group arrived. Khan and the others were shocked to see the ground covered with vampires and a long-haired vampire. But Khan quickly realized that Heli and the others had been here. At this moment, Mahan mentioned there was a logistics warehouse nearby where many of their kind were imprisoned. So they went to the warehouse Mahan mentioned. Everyone was stunned by the scene inside, because their fellow wolves were locked in cages one by one. Khan and the others didn't dare delay and quickly opened all the cages to free their kind. But Khan looked around and didn't see Ruslan and Camille. Everyone felt somewhat helpless. At this moment, an elder in an iron cage suddenly spoke, "Go to Autumnal. This is just a transit station where those vampires imprison wolf clans. If it weren't for you, we would all have been sent to a place called Autumnal. So the people you're looking for should be there." Hearing this, Khan had an ominous feeling. The old man continued, "That's right. Those vampires want to experiment on us to obtain some special power within us. Especially you," he said, pointing at Khan who stood at the front. "You're very likely to become their main target." Hearing this, everyone looked at Khan in unison. Khan asked in confusion why it was him. The old man's face also became grave. "The necklace around your neck is clearly the token of lycanthropes. The so-called lycanthropes are beings known as descendants of the wolf god. They only existed in ancient times and eventually disappeared in the river of history. You also know that we werewolves' names are passed down through generations, and along with names come status and traditions. Your silver hair and ability to lead the team, and the necklace called Silver Fang around your neck. These are all characteristics of Khan, the great warrior of lycanthropes." Khan was somewhat shocked that he had never told him his name. Seeing his shocked expression, the old man continued to explain, "Only old folks like us know these things. And you should have noticed too. You're different from other werewolves. Other werewolves are forced to transform into wolves during full moons. But you don't. This isn't because you're not of pure bloodline. Rather, it's because you were born with a mission to lead us." Meanwhile, Heli and the other 7 had arrived at Autumnal. Each of their faces was extremely grave, because all the people before them were vampires. In a building somewhere in this city, a seductive vampire had already noticed their arrival. "If I eliminate them, the first vampire will surely be very pleased." In a magnificent castle, Princess Selen of the ancient kingdom was lifting her skirt while basking in sunlight. Hearing someone call her from behind, she immediately turned around. It was the 7 knights who had grown up with her. Heli told her, "Her Majesty the Queen is looking for you." Hearing this, Selen's face showed some dejection. It must be about the wedding. "I heard the neighboring prince has proposed to me." Heli said he had heard about it and that the prince was supposedly a very good match. Hearing this, Selen's face became even more unpleasant. "But I don't want to get married yet. Political marriage is even more out of the question, although it's inappropriate for someone of my status to say such things. But is it the fate of this position to be unable to be with the one you truly love?" Listening to Selen's words, Heli's expression was also very complex. His face showed loss, heartache, and deep reluctance. But it finally turned into a smile. "Her Highness will surely meet a wonderful person, an excellent prince." This made Selen even more anxious, and she decided to make things clear with her mother. But suddenly her vision went dark. Fortunately, Heli caught her in time, preventing her from falling. At this moment, Selen was sweating profusely. "Thank you, Heli. I've been getting dizzy for no reason lately." Hearing this, Heli panicked. "Do you often feel like this? I'll call the court physician to examine you." At this time, Selen had recovered some strength. She looked up at Heli and said, "I'm sorry, Heli. I'm always troubling you." Heli looked at the face so close to his and couldn't help but blush. After a moment, he spoke, "This is what I should do, because protecting Her Highness is my duty." As he spoke, he gently pushed Selen away. All of this was observed by Prime Minister Dardan. The next day, when Selen arrived at the palace, she ran into Dardan. "Princess Selen looks beautiful today as well. How are things going with your marriage?" Selen didn't give him a pleasant look. She walked straight past Dardan, saying, "I have already firmly refused the marriage proposal." Hearing this, Dardan smiled like a gentleman. "What delightful news. You actually did as I had hoped." Upon hearing this, Selen turned back and glared at him. "This has nothing to do with you." Dardan maintained his smile. "I share the same thoughts as Princess. I'm also against political marriages." Hearing this, Selen's eyes widened in anger. "What do you mean? You actually eavesdropped on our conversation?" Dardan claimed he was just sensitive to Princess Selen's voice, because his entire heart belonged to the princess. Selen immediately scolded angrily. "How dare you say such things?" At this moment, Dardan's tone also turned cold. "You say, 'How dare I?' Why wouldn't I dare? Just because I'm not a prince? It seems you still care very much about status." As he spoke, he directly grabbed Selen's hand. The next moment, a slap landed on Dardan's face. "It seems you still don't know why I dislike you." But Dardan didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed, and his words became even more excessive. "Then what must I do to possess you?" This enraged Selen, causing her to shout angrily, but a figure suddenly swept past her. Heli grabbed Dardan by the collar and warned, "If you ever dare to be so disrespectful to the princess again, I will never let you off." After saying this, he threw Dardan hard to the ground. Then he beckoned Princess Selen to leave. The abandoned Dardan's expression turned venomous. That very night, he snuck into the library. At this moment, his mind was filled with thoughts of how to obtain Princess Selen. "I'm only the chancellor of this country now. If this entire country were mine, would I then be able to have you? Therefore, I need power. Power sufficient to devour the entire kingdom." Just then, Marge suddenly burst through the door. She gave Dardan a lecture full of principles. Then she was grabbed by the throat by Dardan. When the guards arrived in time, Dardan had already escaped. Meanwhile, in Selen's bedchamber, Princess Selen was lying in bed, suffering immensely. As a princess of an ancient kingdom, every generation of their royal family was born with shamanic power. Especially Selen. She was the royal member with the strongest power in history. But her mortal flesh simply couldn't bear such tremendous power. The only thing that could save her was the kingdom's treasure, the blood of Vargar, the ancient wolf king. The priests all gathered around Selen's bed. Her Majesty the Queen poured Vargar's blood into Selen's mouth. Then Selen's entire body emitted brilliant golden light and floated into the air. Faced with this situation, everyone didn't know what to do, but Selen only felt her body becoming warm. In her daze, she heard someone calling her. When she slowly opened her eyes, a huge wolf head appeared before her. "Hello, Princess Selen. I am Vargar the wolf god. Now I shall grant you power." Selen was no longer afraid. She was about to hug Vargar's wolf nose, when suddenly a surge of blue energy rushed into her body. In reality, Selen slowly awakened, her pupils emitting a faint blue glow. Seeing this, Her Majesty the Queen hurried forward, hugging Princess Selen tightly and sobbing continuously. Only then did Selen realize she was being watched. At this moment, in the shadows, Dardan was staring intently at this scene. His target was the Vargar's blood on the table. A few days later, Dardan had turned himself into a vampire, but what puzzled him was that no matter how much blood he drank, he still felt thirsty, and his body couldn't be exposed to sunlight. He had drunk the same Vargar's blood as Princess Selen. So was it because there wasn't enough Vargar's blood, or because he lacked shamanic power? A year later, Her Majesty the Queen was already like a candle in the wind. She said to Selen, "Don't be too sad. I have already sealed all my power in the blood altar. You drank Vargar's blood, so now our shamanic power and the ancient wolf god's power are all yours. You have become the first vampire noble to possess both of these powers. After my death, hold your coronation ceremony. When you inherit all the power I sealed, you will become the strongest person in the kingdom's history." I hope you can protect this kingdom from Dardan's hands. Although during this time we used your blood to create new vampire nobles. And the werewolves are also helping us resist the vampires. It still can't match their reproduction speed. So you must quickly hold the coronation ceremony and obtain the power within. Before the queen could finish speaking, the door was smashed open. Dardan rushed in with countless vampires. Your Majesty, don't worry. I will inherit your power and then manage this kingdom well, taking good care of Princess Selin. Seeing this, Marge immediately stood in front of Princess Selin, while Dardan chatted leisurely. Princess Selin, I didn't want it to be this way. I just wanted to gain your love, but you wouldn't even look at me properly. As he spoke, he clawed through Marge. Then, with another strike, he dispatched Her Majesty the Queen. So now I can only take everything from you. Selin stared blankly at what was happening before her. But Dardan became increasingly crazed as he spoke. This way, you'll belong to me. If I can obtain the Queen's power at the blood altar, then I can surely use the same method to obtain your power too. Suddenly, Heli appeared and slashed at Dardan's back with his sword. At this moment, Heli's face was filled with fury. The others had also arrived, but the room full of vampires made it difficult for them to move. Heli asked anxiously, Princess Selin, are you all right? Dardan, how dare you do such a thing? As he spoke, blood splattered in front of him. Dardan looked mocking. Are you trying to say I'm too evil? You should know my feelings after all. You have feelings for the princess too, don't you? After saying this, he extended his claws toward Heli. The next moment, swordlight flashed. Dardan's arm fell to the ground. But this single strike had exhausted all of Heli's strength. Fortunately, his teammates had all rushed over. They surrounded Dardan. Seeing this, Dardan concentrated all his power in his hands, and then struck at the group. With just one blow, he left all 7 severely injured, their lives hanging in the balance. Princess Selin was stunned by this scene. Marge hurried over to tell her to quickly go to the blood altar. Only by holding the coronation ceremony and inheriting the queen's power could she defeat Dardan. However, at this moment, Dardan had already come up behind her. He was about to strike down and finish off Marge, but Marge and Selin instantly disappeared from their spots. The next moment, they had teleported to the Great Lawn. Seeing the bloody wound on Marge's back, Selin became anxious, but Marge still urged her to quickly go to the blood altar for coronation. Selin leaned against Marge's shoulder with tears streaming down her face. I can't do it. During that time, Dardan will kill everyone. I can't let everyone sacrifice themselves for me alone and then sit on the queen's throne with peace of mind. Marge obviously knew this was the case, but if even your power is taken by Dardan... Marge, Selin interrupted her. I have a request that I need your help with. Meanwhile, Dardan looked at the 7 people lying on the ground. Suddenly, Selin appeared here. Dardan, how could you do such a thing? Hearing this, Dardan showed a playful smile. If it's for you, I would do even more excessive things. As he spoke, a sharp sword pierced through his body. It was Heli who had thrust this sword while enduring severe pain. But this also enraged Dardan, you annoying pest. He furiously clawed at Heli. But the next moment, Selin threw herself in front of Heli, and Dardan's claws pierced through her back. Seeing this, Dardan's face also turned ugly. Tears flowed from Heli's eyes, Your Highness. At this moment, Selin was already on the verge of death. Heli, in the past, whenever I was in danger, you always came to save me. You never showed fear or hesitation. I know what you've been hiding from me all this time, because I feel the same way. So next time, I hope when we meet again, we can be honest with each other. As she spoke, she caressed Heli's cheek. Heli didn't understand what she meant by next time. Suddenly, Suho began to emit multicolored light. The light extended from her body, until it shone on Jaka and the others. The light became increasingly intense, like a nighttime sun illuminating the entire castle. The next moment, it suddenly disappeared. Dardan looked at all this in disbelief. While Selin, Heli, and the 7 others beside him had vanished. It turned out Selin had sent them to the distant future and given them her power. What she had asked Marge to do was to find and take care of them, until she was reborn. Lying on the circular altar, Suho was already in tears. Seeing this scene, Dardan knew she had recovered her memories. Then he sat beside Suho and muttered to himself, Selin, don't cry. Just thinking about how you'll hate me when you remember the past. I should be the one crying. I'm coming to you now in your favorite form. Why do you still choose that guy? But it doesn't matter. Even if you don't love me, as long as I love you, that's enough. All that's left is to get rid of those annoying guys, and then take your power for myself. Just a few minutes ago, Heli and the 7 others arrived at City Hall. They hoped to find the mayor and get some clues from him. Before they could enter, the door opened automatically. A woman in secretary attire appeared. I've been waiting for you all for a long time. Please come in. I'm Trisha, the mayor's secretary. Seeing this, everyone felt suspicious, but they still followed her inside. Jaka used telepathy to remind the others. Everyone be careful. This secretary isn't an ordinary vampire. Soon, they arrived at the mayor's office. Everyone was surprised to see him. Trisha walked to the mayor's side with a playful smile. What's wrong, scared? Just because the mayor is human. As mayor, he needs to go out for various activities, so I found an obedient one. No, I should say I made him obedient. As she spoke, she removed her glasses. In other words, the real controller of Autumnal is me, regardless of whether she was the controller or not. Everyone questioned her about Suho and the first vampire's whereabouts. Trisha didn't answer their questions. She opened a hidden door nearby. "Don't be so impatient. I just want to give you a gift. Come with me, I have something to show you." Seeing this, Solon asked Helly what to do. Helly said there was no choice. Even knowing it was a trap, they had to jump in. Then everyone followed Trisha to a basement. Everyone was shocked by the setup here. What's going on here? It's like a temple. Helly also remembered what Suho had said in the dream. In the temple, bring the sword to the blood altar. So could this be the temple Suho mentioned? At this moment, Trisha pulled back the curtain. "Do you know what this is? It's an ancient sword." She looked at Helly. "Do you remember? This is the sword you used long ago, so I'm planning to return it to its rightful owner. Since it's your sword, you should take it." Helly was already shocked, but he didn't rashly step forward. Seeing this, Trisha continued, "Although I'd love to hand the sword to you personally, we can't touch this sword. If we touch even a bit of it, the part that touches it will melt." Everyone advised Helly not to touch it, as it was obviously a trap. And Helly was also very conflicted. This sword was obviously the divine sword Suho mentioned. But stepping forward now was indeed inappropriate. It might harm his brothers. Trisha could naturally see their thoughts. "You must be thinking we couldn't possibly hand over a weapon that poses a deadly threat to ourselves, right? Your thinking is correct, but..." At this point, Trisha's eyes glowed red. Helly felt his heart tremble. Then he walked forward without hesitation and reached his hand toward the divine sword. Helly felt something was wrong. "What's happening? My body is moving on its own." At this moment, his hand had already grasped the sword hilt. Instantly, white light blazed. "Helly, you've come." "That's right. After all, you also have feelings for the princess. I hope when we meet again we can be honest with each other." All the past memories flooded into Helly's mind. The intense pain and sorrow made him weep. The others wanted to step forward when they saw this, but the next moment, their bodies were frozen in place. Helly was still wondering if the memories he just experienced were real. At this moment, Trisha spoke. "No matter how dangerous this sword is, we still need to see who its blade points to, don't we? And now, I'm the one who decides that..." As she spoke, Helly turned around. Now he was facing his 6 brothers. Helly's hands gripping the sword hilt trembled continuously. "What's happening? My body won't obey me. If this continues, I'll hurt the others." The others were also controlled and couldn't move. They also found it incredible that she could control 7 people simultaneously by herself. Jaka immediately looked at Shion, think of something quickly. Only then did Shion realize he could also use hypnosis. But Trisha immediately became aware of this. Before Shion's hypnosis could take effect, a sword light slashed across his body. It was Helly. He had already come before Shion. He looked at this scene in disbelief, but could only watch helplessly as Shion fell to the ground. The others were also powerless, unable to move, and Helly's sword was raised high again. He struck down without hesitation. Helly could only shout no as he watched. The next moment, a shadow blocked the blade. Noah used his ability under pressure. Only then did Helly breathe a slight sigh of relief. In contrast, Trisha still looked amused. Suddenly, John's large hands lifted Noah up. John himself looked panicked, but the force in his hands kept increasing. Noah couldn't break free from John's tremendous strength at all. Watching Noah gradually approach death, Jaka and Solon both panicked, but before they could think of a solution, a sharp sword pierced through Solon's abdomen. Only then did Helly realize he had hurt his brother again. But he still pulled out the sword without hesitation. Solon could only lie on the ground, barely alive. At this moment, Noah had also rolled his eyes back, and his hands hung down limply. Helly cried and shouted, but it was all useless. Trisha enjoyed watching their expressions. "Don't worry, I won't let you die so easily." Such an interesting thing. Before she could finish, a flame swept toward her. At this moment, Gino's body was burning with fierce flames, his face filled with anger. But Trisha still dodged this attack. At the same time, Jaka discovered he could move his fingers. But Trisha's face showed some impatience. "You actually dare?" Gino continued using his ability, but John's large hands suddenly pressed her to the ground, even cracking the floor. Gino had already lost consciousness. Trisha mocked. "How does it feel to have friends kill each other?" Suddenly she was startled. Jaka had come to her side, one hand already on her neck. But the hand that wanted to attack stopped. His entire body was pinned in place like this. "Damn it, if I had just half a second more." Trisha grinned. No good. Now would have been the perfect opportunity, but there won't be another one. With that, Helly pierced Jaka with his sword. Helly could only watch helplessly as the brother in front of him fell. Now only John, who had finished off Gino and Noah, and Helly, who had killed 3 people, remained. So Trisha ordered Helly to take John's head. Under Helly's full resistance, his body could finally remain frozen in place. Seeing this, Trisha increased her power. "You actually dare resist me?" But Helly still stood firmly in place, continuously fighting against her. While they were in standoff, Jaka also regained a bit of consciousness. A few minutes earlier, 5 werewolves had also arrived in this city. They also discovered that all the people on the streets were vampires. Just as they were wondering where to find Ruslan and the others, Tahel suddenly caught a different scent. "It's the scent of Haley and those guys. Following this scent might lead us to clues about Ruslan and the others." Soon after, following the scent, they came to City Hall. While they were still discussing outside, the door opened. "Everyone, don't just stand there. Let me show you the way." In the room, of the 7 people, only Helly and John were still standing. Under Trisha's forceful mental intrusion, Helly couldn't hold on any longer. He leaped in front of John. John's face turned pale. Helly's face was covered in tears. Far away, Suho was also in agony. No! Helly's sword, which was cutting through the air, stopped abruptly. At this moment, the blade was only 1 millimeter from John's neck, and John's cold sweat was flowing continuously. Trisha's face was ferocious as she was about to increase her power. Suddenly, a cold gleam slashed across her neck. Somehow, Jaka had come before her. But this strike didn't kill Trisha. She immediately controlled Jaka's movements. Damn it, I should have gone for a killing blow. The wound in my stomach affected my movement. Suddenly, his wound healed rapidly. He realized Suho was helping them, but the others didn't improve, as their injuries were more severe. Trisha also recognized this as the princess's power. We need to decide this quickly. Trena, who was leading the others, trembled. Then she turned to inform the group. Sister is calling me. There's no choice. I had planned to take you to a more interesting place, but it seems I'll have to deal with this here. With that, a large group of vampires emerged from the nearby buildings. On Helly's side, Trisha was struggling to restrict Jaka's movements. Jaka could clearly feel that this witch's control had obviously weakened after being injured. Now she was just barely hanging on. The reason she initially froze the 6 of us and had Helly attack alone was because that was already her limit. And when John moved, Helly stopped moving. So for relatively complex actions, she can only control one person at a time. But now, she can't even control one person properly. As long as any other person wakes up, the deadlock can be broken. After receiving the information, Cheyenne shakily stood up. Seeing this, Trisha panicked. She hurriedly controlled Cheyenne's movements. Jaka knew the opportunity had come. Helly, now! Helly quickly swung his sword and came before Trisha. But a sword blocked his attack. Trena had arrived just in time. She said angrily, "You actually dare hurt my sister. I won't let you off." At this moment, all the vampires in the hallway had been eliminated. But Khan and the others had also expended considerable energy. They wondered where that woman had gone after bringing them here. Just as they were about to pursue, to hell stop them. There's the scent of our brothers over there, though it's very faint. Meanwhile, on Helly's side, the 3 of them had been frozen in place. Jaka also realized that one sister froze them, while the other was responsible for wielding the sword. This was essentially forcing them to offer their necks to be cut. The 2 sisters made no attempt to hide this, that's exactly right. Then Trena swung her sword at Helly. Suddenly a wolf pounced on her. Khan pressed her to the ground with one claw. He opened his massive jaws, about to bite down. Trisha shouted, "No!" Khan's movement stopped. Seeing this, Trena painfully thrust her sword through Khan's abdomen. Trena then punched Khan, sending him flying. Seeing this, Najak and Tahel became anxious. Najak immediately transformed into a werewolf and pounced. Jaka shouted urgently, "Don't come over!" But it was too late. Najak's form was frozen. He could only watch as he was slashed. Enzi and Tahel wanted to help, but Helly quickly stopped them. That elder sister has the ability to control others. Although she's injured now and can't control everyone, once we get within a certain distance, we'll become her targets. At this moment, Trisha told her sister to first finish off the unconscious ones. Got it, sister. With that, she charged out. Her first target was Solon, who was closest to her. This made Helly shout anxiously for Solon. Fortunately, Enzi rescued Solon in time. Seeing her prey escape, Trena was furious. After Enzi saved Solon, he didn't dare delay. He first moved the other injured people outside. Tahel carried Noah as he ran. Damn it, in my lifetime, I actually have to save vampires. Meanwhile, Mehan carried Najak. Seeing this, Trena wanted to pursue. But suddenly Trisha's voice sounded in her mind. Let them go. Before everyone could finish transferring the wounded, the hidden door was closed. Instead, Trisha looked like her plan had succeeded. Now let's send these guys to the afterlife. Helly felt something was wrong, damn it. With fewer people, her control has strengthened again. Trena, attack quickly! Hearing this, Trena swung her sword forward. John was hit first. Far away, Suho seemed to be able to see what was happening here, her face full of anxiety. Then it was Jaka. Cheyenne. The killing-crazed Trena was extremely satisfied. Now only you remain. Let me give you a quick death. With that, she charged straight at Helly. Helly had no way to deal with this. In the next instant, Trena was right in front of Helly. At this moment, Suha was already in tears. No, Helly. However, the blade had already reached Helly's neck. But Suha had disappeared from the circular altar and appeared behind Trena. Suddenly, they vanished from their spot. When they reappeared, they were in front of Trisha and had cut her down. Trena looked incredulous, her pupils rapidly losing their light. Sister, no! It was Sister who bit me. If Sister dies! Before she could finish, she had already collapsed. Helly was also stunned. He called out Suha's name, but Suha was no longer there. He frantically searched everywhere, at one point doubting he had seen wrong. But looking at the enemies that had been dealt with, impossible. It was definitely Suha who appeared here and helped us. Just then, Khan's body glowed with golden light, and Suha returned to the altar. Darden watched what was happening with some surprise. She seemed to disappear and then reappear just now. This is clearly the princess's missed ability. So as her memories awakened, her abilities also recovered? Earlier in the square, she clearly didn't know she had this ability, but now she probably still can't use it skillfully. And she also gave power to those guys. So there's nothing to worry about. In the end, everything will become my power. At this moment, the dying Khan quickly recovered under Suha's healing. Khan was surprised. Is everyone okay? Is anyone hurt? Enzi and Tahel told Khan about Suha helping them heal. But Khan was still concerned about the vampire sisters. At this moment, Heli emerged from behind him. After the elder sister died, the younger sister died with her, and it was Suha who defeated them. Hearing this, Khan's expression changed dramatically. He immediately stood up to look for Suha. Heli told him Suha might not be here. Khan was confused by him. You say she defeated those sisters but isn't here. What exactly are you saying? Heli himself wasn't very certain either. In any case, Suha suddenly appeared and then suddenly disappeared. This probably has to do with Suha's ability. It's somewhat like teleportation, but not quite the same. She can turn into mist and move to other places. Hearing this, Solon remembered what Suha had told him before. At that time, Suha had dreamed of encountering Dardan at the seaside square. It seemed that really wasn't a dream. Heli also added, she should have returned to her original location in the end. Najak was somewhat skeptical. Why do you think that? What makes you so certain? Hearing this, Heli looked somewhat troubled. You might not believe this, but when I picked up this sword, I remembered all the past memories. According to what I know, Suha, she was once a princess of an ancient kingdom. And we 7 were the 7 knights who protected Suha, but that guy Dardan destroyed the kingdom. At that time, Suha had no choice but to send us to the future, to now. Suha is the reincarnation of that princess. Hearing this, Khan couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. So the guy we fought in the forest was Dardan? That's right. That guy has been watching Suha all along. Now Suha has been captured by him and is being held in a place called the Blood Altar. His goal is probably the power within Suha. Suha possesses the strongest and most special power in the kingdom's history. Whether you believe it or not doesn't matter. We're definitely going to save Suha. Khan excitedly said his side felt the same way. Afterward, they learned from the mayor that the Blood Altar was in the center of Senor. John was thinking about having him lead the way, but Enzi on the side said there were still questions to ask. Is the place where werewolves are imprisoned here? So they finally found Ruslan and Camille. The 7 werewolves were finally reunited. It turned out they had originally had a chance to escape, but chose to stay to investigate what was behind everything. At this moment, Heli interrupted them. We're now preparing to go to the Blood Altar. What do you plan to do? Will you come with us? Enzi was about to say yes, and Khan was still hesitating. But Camille, who had just been rescued, immediately became agitated. What nonsense are you talking about? We're going to save our fellow tribesmen. From you vampires. Heli felt somewhat awkward, but the others didn't have such a good temper. Solon spoke first. We're not the same as them. We're going to eliminate those guys. You think I'd believe such nonsense from you vampires? The others also joined the argument. Finally, Solon delivered a harsh ultimatum. Who wants to go with you? You'd better not follow us and get in our way. With that, Solon turned around. Shion even made a face, and then ran out. We're leaving first. Tahel immediately expressed dissatisfaction. Why do you get to leave first? With that, he also chased after them, so the 2 childish ones rushed to push open the door. The next moment, they both froze. At this moment, countless corpses lay in the square before them. It turned out that when the vampires who bit them died, they would also die. So as long as they killed the first vampire Dardan, all the vampires would disappear. And Dardan, as the source, became the vampire progenitor by drinking the blood of the ancient wolf god. But because he lacked shamanic power and only drank a little bit of the wolf god's blood, he wasn't a complete vampire. So he kept kidnapping werewolves, probably wanting to drink the blood of a specific being. And that specific being was the werewolf Khan. After hearing their explanation, Khan understood that he had implicated his fellow tribesmen. He felt somewhat guilty. On the other side, the first vampire became extremely angry after reading the ancient book. These are the conditions for obtaining power? Here we go again. It's all about bloodline. Marge questioned from her cell. Do you really think it's because of bloodline? It's not because of royal blood that one can inherit power. It's because the qualification to inherit power is recognized that the royal line can continue. Someone like you, who hurts others for desire, could never possibly obtain power. Hearing this, Dardan's expression became extremely dark. Then he smiled eerily. I suddenly remembered something. With that, he walked to the cell door and grabbed Marge by the throat. You have the princess's blood in you, don't you? Meanwhile, Heli and the 7 others were still moving through the city. Although many vampires had died, there were still quite a few left. Heli reminded the others to be careful and alert, while Khan's group of 7 walked not far ahead of them. Seeing the vampires wandering around, Camille couldn't help but feel angry. I really want to deal with all of them. Khan said these things were too numerous, and there was no need to waste energy. Suddenly, a huge mouth bit toward him from behind. Camille punched that vampire away in time. He was about to check if Khan was hurt, but several vampires had already pounced on them. However, many black substances restricted them in place. It was Noah using his ability to block them, while Heli's group also fought the vampires. But Camille was still in a daze. Why did that guy save me? Suddenly, Ruslan pushed him aside, avoiding a vampire's sneak attack. John punched the vampire with his fist. He turned back to remind, don't space out. Hide quickly. Camille's expression was somewhat unwilling. Who asked you to save me? But another vampire bit toward his neck. Fortunately, Cheyenne blocked it with his arm in time. The pain made Cheyenne's expression look somewhat distorted. "Can't you guys not get bitten?" "Although it doesn't matter to us," Camille retorted. "That's because you're all in cahoots with them. Do you think I'd be bitten by these things?" With that, he pulled Ruslan away. They fought for who knows how long. Khan and the others were already exhausted. They couldn't figure out how to break through from here. Before they could think more, the vampires had already pounced. Heli solved them with one sword strike. "I'll clear the path. Everyone follow behind me." Hearing this, Khan had the others gather together. Camille let out a sharp cheech, and then turned to charge into the vampires. As the group was cutting their way through, Noah noticed that Camille had fallen behind. Seeing this, he activated his ability. In an instant, the vampires in front of Camille were pushed to both sides. However, Camille remained standing in place, motionless. Noah anxiously shouted for him to come out. A hand suddenly grabbed at Noah. Fortunately, Ruslan pressed him down in time, then punched the vampire away. Camille was still in a daze watching this scene. Jukka immediately grabbed him and ran, but the vampires were endless. At this moment, a large vehicle charged through, knocking down many vampires along the way. Cheyenne was very excited in the driver's seat. "Everyone get out of my way!" Then the car drifted to a stop in front of everyone. Cheyenne quickly got out and shouted, "Gino, John, light it up and throw it out!" Hearing this, Gino lit the wood. Then John threw it with great force. The target was that oil tanker. Instantly, flames scattered everywhere. The vampires behind were also blocked. John asked if everyone was okay. Solon replied they were fine here. But suddenly a pillar crashed down. Camille knocked Solon down but got his leg injured instead. Everyone rushed over to help. Solon stared at the werewolf who had saved him. Camille spoke first. "Are you one of our kind?" Solon was about to deny it. Camille said again, "But you clearly transformed into a wolf just now." Solon turned his head away proudly. "What does it matter to you? And who asked you to save me anyway?" Camille gritted his teeth in anger. Solon actually felt a bit guilty looking at his wound. Suddenly, Camel's wound emitted colorful light. Camel's injury instantly healed. Meanwhile, at the blood altar, Marge had already been drained until her eyes rolled back. However, Dardan didn't want her life. "I won't kill you since you're still useful, but I can't let you talk nonsense. Just bear with the discomfort. I'll release you when the moment comes." At this time, Suho bloomed with pure white light. It seems the princess's power is getting stronger, but most of the power is being transmitted to those guys. If this continues, the longer it drags on, the harder those guys will be to handle. It seems it's time to send someone to deal with them. Only then will the princess's power return. Meanwhile, Camille looked at his completely healed leg in disbelief. Heli told them, in the ancient kingdom, all races live together harmoniously, werewolves included. Simply put, whether it's us or you werewolves, we're all Suha's people. That's why she helps both us and you. His words were questioned by Camille. "What nonsense are you talking about? Do you think I'd believe such ridiculous words? The thought of living in the same country as you vampires is disgusting." Heli continued calmly, "I've said what I needed to say. Whether you believe it or not is up to you, but you must have felt it. Suha has the power to control us, and we instinctively want to protect her." Camille stubbornly denied. "What do you know? I've never even seen this person called Suha." "You'll know when you meet her, since you don't want to come with us. We'll meet at the blood altar then. Also, thank you for saving Solon." With that, Heli and the seven departed. The group walked until evening, with Cheyenne constantly complaining about not being able to use transportation. Gino considerately said they could rest if tired, but John felt there was nothing to be tired about since they were almost there. So Cheyenne climbed onto John's back. Jaka was a bit worried looking over there, since Khan was also a main target. Cheyenne patted the dust off himself. Who should be worried about whom? We're the #1 targets of those guys. Correct, someone suddenly answered him. When Cheyenne realized it, he was already hanging upside down, strangled. "Your screams are really cute. It's a pity I won't be able to hear them anymore." The others panicked seeing this. John immediately rushed forward, but was smashed into the ground by a bald man. "So you're just a sickly guy, and you dare to—" Suddenly John punched toward his chin. After a moment, the bald man inexplicably smiled. "Really just a sickly guy." With that, he punched John in the face again. Seeing this, Gino quickly activated his ability, but a blue-haired woman appeared in front of him, raising her right hand lightly. Gino's flames were extinguished. Damn, completely countered. Can't even light a fire. The water woman provocatively beckoned with her finger. "What should we do? Your ability is useless against me." Gino clenched his fists, planning to fight her hand to hand. The water woman saw through his intention. A water screen unfolded in front of her. Gino charging forward was instantly caught by a water column. Noah's expression was also grim, facing the enemy radiating bright light before him. This made all his shadows point in the opposite direction. His shadow abilities couldn't be used at all. The man slowly put down his cup. The next instant, he was in front of Noah. The bright light forced Noah to close his eyes, so he took a heavy blow to the abdomen. Jaka originally wanted to use his speed to rescue, but an enemy followed him. The opponent even landed a hit on his face. Jaka barely steadied himself. Another attack came at his face. He jumped away in time to dodge, but he couldn't shake off the enemy. Where did he go? Suddenly, the enemy appeared behind him. One kick sent him back to the ground. Solon gritted his teeth in anger, as the enemy before him spoke. "Don't misunderstand. I'm also a vampire. I just became like this from drinking too much werewolf blood." With that, several claw marks appeared on Solon's abdomen. Then the enemy said mockingly, I advise you to transform quickly. You're no match for me like this. Hearing this, Solon transformed into wolf form, then pounced at the enemy, just as he opened his mouth wide. A hand stopped him, then the large hand slammed Solon to the ground. Heli held his sword, glaring angrily ahead. The opponent said, "How do you think I felt when a brat took the position of knight commander from me?" Heli replied calmly, "I'm sorry. I respected you very much when I was young, but that was Her Majesty's decision. A foolish decision to let a yellow-haired brat like you." "It was a wise decision," Heli interrupted the old man's words. "It's not about who's stronger but who's more trustworthy." With that, he swung his sword forward. The old man also roared angrily, "You're right, with your strength you can't possibly beat me." Then the two clashed swords for dozens of moves. They seemed evenly matched. Suddenly, the old man's sword shattered. Heli's sword slashed across his abdomen. "When you sided with Dardan, I swore I'd never lose to you again." But the old vampire suddenly became young again. He could still fight Heli evenly. He even sneak attacked Heli with a dagger. Tonight was a full moon, and Dardan's 1,000-year conspiracy was about to succeed. He looked at Suho lying on the ground. The princess's power should be fully released now. If the princess had known how to use her power back then, I probably couldn't have beaten her. But now she's given her power to those guys. This isn't necessarily bad for me. Even if those guys gain more power. Compared to my subordinates, they're just a bunch of kids with no battle experience. They're all going to die today. Just as Dardan thought this, Suho emitted intense golden light again. Seeing this, Dardan broke out in cold sweat. She still has excess power? On the battlefield, Xian's eyes also emitted golden light. He suddenly exerted force and threw the enemy to the ground. Seeing the enemy motionless, Xian gasped heavily. "I'm so cute, yet you dared to bully me." Suddenly, red light spread across the enemy's body. "You've been fooled. From now on, you have to obey me. First, punch yourself in the face a few times." However, Xian suddenly exerted force, instantly turning the enemy into a little fangirl. Xian smiled eerily. "Offer me your heart with your own hands." Hearing this, the enemy reached into his own chest. "If you want it, of course you can have it." Xian looked at the enemy lying on the ground and snorted coldly. "When it comes to bewitching hearts, you're not even 1% as good as me." The water column holding Gino suddenly exploded. Gino was covered in red light. The water woman had been roasted to charcoal. John, who had been getting beaten, suddenly caught the bald man's fist and easily broke the bald man's fingers. Just one punch made the bald man roll his eyes back. The blonde suddenly lost sight of Jaka. He could only get beaten inexplicably, but he still boasted about being able to see Jaka's movements. But around him were 8 Jakas, so he got beaten up like a punching bag by Jaka. Meanwhile, a black sphere with a diameter of 100 meters appeared in the forest. The glowing man inside was still confident. "With my light here, your shadows can't touch me," Noah said calmly. "I never said I'd use shadows against you." With that, the surrounding trees all fell down, instantly crushing the glowing man. Solon, who had been pinned to the ground just moments ago and couldn't move, soon his eyes glowed. Then he clawed at the long-haired enemy in front of him. Catching him off guard, he finished him off with one bite. In contrast, Healy's fight was more difficult. He had to grab the opponent's dagger with his bare hands. Enduring the severe pain, he crushed it, then kicked the opponent below. Only then did he finish off his opponent with one strike. He turned back to ask, "Is everyone okay?" The others all said they were fine. Xian also ran forward excitedly, "I'm fine too. And I feel like I suddenly became stronger. It must be Suho helping us again." But Heli looked worried. "Xian, your neck." Hearing this, Xian covered it with his clothes. "It's fine. Suho will heal it for me soon, don't worry." But Heli still looked troubled. Just moments ago, they had indeed gained very strong power. But the speed of this wound healing, Jaka asked seeing this. "Heli, are you okay?" Heli acted calm. "I'm fine." "Jaka, can you check if there are any stragglers around?" Jaka raised his hand in agreement. Suddenly his abdomen felt a sharp pain, but he still pretended nothing was wrong. The others had also been seriously injured in the recent battle. At this time, Jaka reminded the others, "There's a very strong wavelength nearby, but it's moving in the opposite direction from us." Everyone had a bad feeling. Besides them, the only other target would be Khan and his group. Soon after, Heli and the others found the werewolves, who were all lying on the ground. Heli immediately helped up Enzi and asked about the situation, but Enzi fainted before finishing his explanation. Camel nearby struggled to get up. "There was a guy who uses electricity. He defeated us. Then he took Khan away." Meanwhile, Suha's beautiful black hair had turned white because she had given her power to the 7 vampires, allowing them to defeat their enemies. Dardan hadn't expected Suha to still have excess power. If this continues, those guys will break in before the ritual begins. At the same time, Khan was being taken away. His brow was furrowed tight now. "Suha, I'm so afraid I can't save you, so afraid I'll lose you forever like this. And my brothers too. Everyone followed me this far, but I couldn't protect everyone. What should I do now? I'm really scared of losing the people I cherish. If only I had some special power." "Lycanthropes," suddenly a voice echoed in Khan's mind. "Lycanthropes, you are the inheritor of my wolf god Vargar's blood, born to bear the mission of leading our race, so don't be afraid. You possess power stronger than anyone else." Hearing this, Khan couldn't believe it. "But I only have half werewolf blood. Even when the full moon rises, I can't fully transform." "Lycanthropes, you're not incomplete, but possess even stronger power. You are the moon of our race. You will awaken the true power of our race." Khan asked anxiously, "Then what should I do?" Everything will be told to you by your instincts at the right time. Use that power to protect your master. What master? Who is that? But the wolf god began to fade. Everything will be told by your instincts. No matter how much Khan asked, there was no response. Meanwhile, Heli and his group just learned that Khan had been captured. Camille wanted Suho to help him recover like last time. Haley told him that wasn't something you could just ask for. Suho has already done everything she can for us, and we can't just rely on Suho. We need to solve our own problems. Gino and Noah nodded in agreement. Anyway, they don't dare come out until the sun sets. Let's walk slowly and recover a bit. Noah tried to help up Camille but was pushed away. I don't need your help. Solon said, don't bother with that guy. Camille protested, I never asked you to help me either. Suddenly, countless vampires surrounded them. The vampires encircled the group completely. Cheyenne asked in confusion, what's going on? How can they appear at this time? Without time to think, the vampires had already attacked. Jaka dodged the attack, while also noticing their burned arms. These guys are charging at us, even though they're scorched by sunlight. Are we already very close to the blood altar? But even with many subordinates, they wouldn't attack blindly. Suddenly, Noah's vision blurred. John quickly knocked away the vampire in front of him. Noah, are you okay? Noah was obviously shaken, but he still said he was fine. John's arm was also in severe pain. His palm bone seemed completely shattered. Heli quickly commanded, everyone protect the werewolves. I'll clear the way, Gino, you cover the rear. Hearing this, Solon carried Camel, who kept resisting. Let me go. I don't want your help. Shut up. I don't have time to listen to this now. Camel wanted to say something else, but he noticed the wound on Solon's abdomen. Solon reminded again, stay quiet. Don't let the others worry. Heli, who was clearing the way ahead, was soon gasping for breath, blood continuously dripping from his hands. At this moment, Marge kept screaming in her cell. Darden laughed. Look at you making such a fuss. This must be the guy, right? Now everything needed for the ritual is in place. As long as the full moon rises tonight, everything I want will... Suddenly, Khan's large hand grabbed his neck. However, no matter how hard Khan tried, he couldn't crush it. Darden grabbed back at Khan. Khan barely dodged. He threw Darden to the side. Without letting Khan rest, he hurriedly picked up Suho. Seeing Suho's completely white hair, Khan's tears flowed uncontrollably. He called out loudly, trying to wake Suho. After getting no response, he thought of getting her out first. But Dardan was already in front of him. Who gave you permission to touch her? I was going to spare your life, but it seems that's not possible now. Khan was also extremely angry and attacked Dardan, but Dardan laughed instead. I advise you to behave, lest your companions die at the hands of my subordinates. Seeing this, Khan didn't dare move rashly, and Dardan had him completely under control. You're supposedly the lycanthropes. How can you ignore your companions' lives? With that, he kicked Khan, stupid guy. I see you're deeply in love with the princess too, so you should abandon your companions to save the princess. As he spoke, his fists and feet kept landing on Khan. He beat Khan half to death, then threw him into a cell, wavering between both sides. In the end, you can't save anyone. Meanwhile, Heli's group kept fighting their way through. But the vampires ahead seemed endless, and Heli was now exhausted, unsure if he could break through. Seeing this, Cheyenne suggested, Heli, let's take a different route. Don't waste energy in a place like this. Hearing this, Jaka told everyone to follow him. He could find a direction with fewer vampires. But the pain in his body affected his speed. Enzi on his back apologized. Sorry, you still have to take care of us in this situation. Once the full moon rises, we can deal with these guys. Hearing about the full moon, Jaka realized something. He amplified his radio waves. Sure enough, these guys were luring them away from the blood altar. He quickly turned back to remind, Heli, we need to go back to the original direction. These guys are deliberately leading us in the opposite direction. They just want to delay time. It must be related to tonight's full moon, so we must reach the blood altar before the moon rises. So they turned around, but the vampires on the road kept delaying until the sun set. Now they were all exhausted. Even taking a step was very difficult. However, more troublesome vampires appeared before them. I didn't expect you to make it this far alive. How pitiful. This is where we high-level vampires live. But you look like you can barely stand. Even so, we can't go easy on you. Let us finish you off here. With that, the lead vampire launched an attack. Suddenly, a cold gleam flashed. Enzi struck first, injuring him. At this time, the fatigue had disappeared from Enzi's face. Thank you for helping us get this far. The moon has risen. From now on, we'll take you there. Meanwhile, on Dardan's side, everything was ready. Princess, shamanic blood, and the lycanthropes are all in my hands. Now, I just need to wait for the full moon to rise. However, even the werewolves who had regained their strength faced many high-level vampires and still couldn't move forward. Before they knew it, the moon had risen high in the sky. Enzi and the others' bodies began to turn into wolves. He immediately called out, Najak, Tahel, Camille, you take Heli and the others to the blood altar. It'll be terrible if we're late. After Tahel and the others escorted Heli's group for a while, Jaka's ankle was cut. In the end, only Najak and the other two werewolves could hold them back. Heli didn't refuse. We'll leave it to you then. Come quickly after you deal with them. So the seven rushed toward the blood altar at full speed. Each of them was seriously injured. But what made them more anxious was Suho's situation. This anxiety made tears flow uncontrollably, along with a deep sense of powerlessness. A few minutes ago, the moon had shown a corner at the cave entrance. Countless strange energies gathered above Suho. Seeing this, Dardan was overjoyed. Is this the power passed down through generations in the ancient kingdom? Just watching from here, I can feel that extraordinary power. At this time, intense golden light burst from Suha's body. Her power also gathered toward the light orb. Seeing this, Dardan was shocked. How is this possible? Is that just the power the queen left behind? The princess's power hasn't even started being absorbed yet. The power kept gathering like this. The full moon had reached the middle of the cave entrance. Dardan slowly turned around. Why did you only come now? You're already too late. After going through countless hardships, Heli and the Seven finally reached the blood altar. At this time, Suho was still having her power crazily drained. Heli also noticed Suha's white hair. He understood it was because Suha had transmitted power to them. But he suddenly felt his own power rapidly flowing out. The other 6 were the same, and the power was returning to Suha's body. Suha, who regained her power, emitted colorful light. Even her white hair gradually returned to its original color. Heli realized it was because of the ritual. He had to destroy the ritual before their power was completely drained. From now on, we need to hurry, he expressed through telepathy, but found that Jaka and John couldn't receive it at all. Shion and Gino were the same. They couldn't figure out what was happening. Heli knew that even telepathy wasn't working now. He immediately rushed forward saying, Jaka, go bring Suha over, I'll handle that guy. Suddenly an electric current sounded. Heli collapsed to the ground completely. From now on, it's the most exciting part. I won't let you interfere with the first vampire. Green hair appeared at some point. I won't let you disturb the ancestor, he said as lightning raged in his hands. Everyone was electrocuted and fell to the ground. You don't need to worry about this side, Master Dardan. Dardan smiled with satisfaction. Then let's begin now. With that, he dragged Marge onto the platform. Now you should know what to do next. You'd better not do anything useless. Then Dardan put his foot on Suha's neck. If you don't want the princess to get hurt. Seeing this, Marge's tears flowed, but she couldn't say a word. Dardan tore off the cloth from her mouth and threatened, You better behave. Suddenly, his pupils contracted. A large amount of blood flowed from Marge's mouth. Dardan angrily glared. He immediately gave Marge a heavy kick. You actually dared to bite your tongue? Then he turned back and ordered, Stop, don't kill them yet. Greenhair was a bit confused, but still agreed. Suddenly, he felt something was wrong. Solon had already pounced on his back. Before he could react, Solon bit down. Only then did Heli have time to breathe. He charged at the platform. Dardan? Seeing this, Dardan just smiled calmly. In your current state, you're no match for me. With that, he kicked Heli in the abdomen. A mouthful of blood came from Heli's mouth. Dardan said mockingly, Don't you think it's funny? The kingdom's greatest knight is now kneeling before me. You're about to lose all your power. Once the power the princess gave you disappears, you'll be nothing. As he spoke, Heli and the others' hair gradually turned white. Solon was also screaming in agony from the electricity. Finally, he could only lie on the ground, barely alive. Damn guy, still daring to provoke me when almost dead. Let me put you out of your misery then, he said, preparing to kill. But the next moment, several wolves appeared in front of him. What followed were biting sounds and splashing blood. Hearing this, Dardan turned to look. Suddenly, a cold gleam flashed. Heli painfully pierced through his abdomen. Dardan's eyes widened in anger. But the next moment, Najak bit down. Dardan's eyes widened, but he could only fall from the altar. Heli immediately came to Suha's side. He picked up Suha, about to take her away. But a colorful barrier appeared around the circular platform. Some unknown force prevented Suha from leaving. Heli knew it was all because of this ritual, but he couldn't think of any way to interrupt it. This is when he noticed Suha's rapid breathing. Suha, are you okay? Suha, wake up, can you hear me? But Suha didn't respond. Suha, didn't you say in your past life that in the next life we'd become completely unreserved existences to each other? But I still have things I haven't told you. Do you know on the night I bit you? I was both terrified as if death had descended, yet felt as if I'd been reborn. That wasn't all because you completely trusted me. I remember you said you bit Chris when you were young, but you didn't bite me because we had grown up. Actually, that night, when I was biting you, hearing your breathing, my heart was very flustered. I could feel the beating from your blood vessels. I've kept all this hidden in my heart during this time. I didn't hope you'd bite me with a friend's mindset, because we're not children anymore. So this time when you wake up, please bite me again. Saying this, Heli held Suha tightly. No matter what, I will definitely save you from here. At this moment, Suha's mouth slightly opened, and the words, Heli, came from her lips. Suha! Heli looked excitedly at her opening eyes. Heli, you came to save me again. Whether then or now, you always... Heli responded, whether then or now. That's all mine, all my heart. Just as the two were being affectionate, a large hand grabbed from behind. Whether then or now, you're always ruining my plans. With that, he grabbed Heli. If only you weren't around, the princess would definitely choose us. Dardan suddenly increased the force in his hand. At least in this lifetime, she definitely would. The light in Heli's eyes quickly faded. Heli, no! Suha shouted. Then she hugged Heli. The next instant, they vanished into thin air. Suddenly, they appeared in another place. Suha anxiously checked on Heli's condition. At the same time, she realized she couldn't leave this altar. Without time to think, Dardan kicked Heli down. Suha watched helplessly as Heli fell, but the invisible barrier trapped her on the altar. Behind her, Dardan said mockingly, Suha, it's all over. Those guys who came to save you have all fallen. And I still have many subordinates left. The power you gave those guys is all returned to you, and your power will all be absorbed by this altar, finally falling into my hands. Suho glared at him fiercely. She didn't know why she couldn't leave this altar. Dardan saw her confusion too. Once the ritual begins, you can't leave here. Until I make you my possession forever, you absolutely cannot leave. With that, he grabbed Suha's arm. Suho also noticed the holy sword that had fallen to the side. Catching Dardan off guard, she picked up the holy sword. But Dardan quickly reacted. He immediately grabbed Suha's wrist. It's useless, even at this point. Do you think you can still stop me? With that, Dardan increased his force. The holy sword slipped from her hand and fell out of the altar. At this time, on Heli's side, his whole body felt like it was broken. He didn't even have the strength to move a finger. But his heart was very determined. I must go back, I must protect Suho. But his body couldn't move at all. You always helped us heal before, even our power was given by you. Yet we couldn't even save you. If we didn't have your power, would we be nothing? Suddenly, Heli heard some sound. He slowly opened his eyes. The pattern on his hand was still radiating brilliant light. Why? The power Suho gave us has clearly all disappeared. But why is this pattern still here? Meanwhile, Suho planned to use the same trick again. But Dardan had already guessed. You want to escape through reincarnation? Go ahead. I can wait for you no matter how long. And no matter where you hide, I will definitely find you again. But Suho, during the time you lost your memory in this life, how many innocent people died because of you, have you forgotten? Hearing this, Suho froze. Dardan looked crazy. Why do people where you live always say you're a vampire? Why are there especially many people around you attacked by vampires? And why was it Chris's house that caught fire that night? Why did Chris die so young? Don't forget, Chris died because of you. Because you befriended him after losing your memory. Because you valued him more than anyone else, that's why I took his place. Suho, you didn't know about what happened in this life. But now that you know, will you still choose to reincarnate to the next life? After all, you already know what kind of person I am. If you want the people around you in the next life to also die at my hands, then go ahead and try escaping. After hearing these words, Suho gritted her teeth in hatred. But she really didn't dare run away anymore. So she gathered energy in her hands, suddenly launched an attack at Dardan. Dardan's face quickly swelled, but that was all. However, just this much had already exhausted all of Suho's strength. Suho, it's too late now. If you wanted to fight me, you should have done it earlier. While you were thinking about escaping, your power had already disappeared completely. Saying this, Dardan lifted Suho up. With your current power, you can't kill me. It seems you're still the same as before, unable to properly use your own power. That's why I want to take it away. You have no right to possess such powerful strength, and I can make this power play a greater role. You just sleep well. Suddenly, the sound of slashing came from behind Dardan. At this time, Heli was holding the holy sword, breaking open cage after cage. Inside were the captured werewolves. As cages were opened one by one, countless werewolves surged toward the altar, even though Heli was shaking from exhaustion. At this moment, he thought, even if I have nothing, it doesn't matter. Even if all my power disappears, it doesn't matter. Even if there are countless difficulties, I must save you. Suddenly, his right hand crackled. The previous pattern reappeared on the back of his hand and glowed. Then tremendous power flowed through his hand. What's happening? Suho should be unable to give us power anymore. Those werewolves also surged toward the altar without needing to be told. Even though Dardan was very powerful, but he was already seriously injured. Plus, it's hard to fight against so many wolf mouths with just 2 fists. He was actually at a disadvantage, and the ritual was only halfway through. He shouted at his subordinates, quickly, go stop that guy! The vampire subordinates also rushed at Heli upon receiving orders, but several wolves guarded in front of him. Whenever vampires approached, the wolves would stop them. Heli was also somewhat surprised seeing this, but he still kept moving his hands. Cage after cage was broken by him. With the wolves' help, he could act without worry. Finally reaching the last cage, Khan was imprisoned inside. Heli broke the cage door with 1 sword strike. Then he helped Khan up. Are you okay? Wake up. Khan woke up and was about to ask something, but was interrupted by Heli. There's no time to explain now. Suho is in great danger. At this time, a vampire came to the doorway, just as he was about to attack. A giant wolf fiercely knocked him to the ground. Khan had already transformed into wolf form and joined the battle. Dardan was still constantly driving away the wolf pack on the platform. At this time, he was also very anxious. These annoying guys, why do they keep running this way? But if he could just hold on a little longer. Suddenly, a large mouth appeared beside his face. Khan bit down mercilessly. Screams kept ringing out. Dardan barely broke free from the wolf's mouth, but was pressed down on the chest by Khan's large hand. Khan just applied a little force, and Dardan spat out blood. Facing such a vampire, he didn't plan to hold back. Dardan's eyes were full of unwillingness. Damn it, just needed to hold on a little longer. Since the ritual has been ruined, then might as well. Thinking this, he tremblingly raised his hand. Then, purple energy gathered upward. The cave immediately shook violently. Khan saw something was wrong. He increased the force in his claws, but Dardan still struggled to support himself. Those purple energies swirled at the cave entrance. Soon they blocked the entire entrance. This space that lost moonlight immediately fell into darkness. Only that yellow energy orb was emitting yellow light. Heli realized the situation was turning dire, his face turning pale. At this moment, the wolf pack that was fighting the vampires suddenly reverted to human form. The advantage they had just gained was no longer looking favorable. Only then did Helly realize that Khan was also in danger. However, his worry was obviously unnecessary. Khan was still maintaining his wolf form, standing motionless on top of Dardan, while Dardan looked utterly incredulous. Everyone knows that werewolves can only transform into wolves during a full moon. But Khan was different. He was the commander of the werewolves. He carried the blood of lycanthropes in his veins. Dardan thought that blocking the moon would solve everything, but Khan showed no signs of reverting to his original form. However, after the other werewolves transformed back into humans, they were no match for the vampires. This made Khan turn his head to look back distractedly. Dardan seized the opportunity and clawed at his face. Seeing this, Helly roared angrily and charged forward. But the next moment, he stopped, because Dardan's claws were already pressed against Suha's neck. "Don't move, if you don't want Suha to die." Helly was furious but didn't dare act rashly. "Don't you understand what kind of person I am by now? Now do exactly as I say. First you, put down your sword." Hearing this, Helly had no choice but to obediently drop his sword. "And you, change back to human form." Khan didn't dare disobey. Dardan continued. "Very good, so obedient. Now kneel down." "What?" Khan and Helly said in unison. "I said, do as I tell you, unless you want the princess to die before your eyes." "Do you really think I won't dare?" At this moment, Dardan's face was twisted with malice. His hand also gripped Suha's slender neck. "If I can't have her, then no one can." Seeing this, the two men struggled, but in the end, they could only kneel down helplessly. Dardan sneered. "That's more like it. You can't let that useless pride get the princess killed, can you? Now you two swear loyalty to me. From now on, you will forever regard me as your master. If you do this, I'll spare your lives." Khan roared angrily. "Are you joking? Someone like you," Dardan said coldly. "You don't seem to understand the situation. It's not just about your one life anymore." At this moment, besides the two of them, everyone else had been taken hostage by the vampires. As soon as Dardan gave the order, they would all be killed instantly. "You bastard. Doing such despicable things." Dardan replied disdainfully. "Despicable. This is already showing great mercy. As long as you swear loyalty to me, whether it's the princess or your brothers and kinsmen, they can all live. You're also a lycanthrope. Can you bear to abandon your own kind? Even if I snap Suha's neck, would you not care? I don't have much patience." The two men's hearts were filled with struggle. Helly also looked at Suha's face with unbearable pain, but was suddenly kicked down by Dardan. Then came a flurry of punches and kicks. Jaka and the others below could only watch helplessly. "Very good. Let's leave it at that. We don't need this guy either. As long as one of you takes his place and swears allegiance to me, then your brother can live." After a moment, there was still no movement. "Looks like there isn't anyone." With that, he kicked Healy off the altar with one foot. Several people could only shout Healy's name. Only Noah broke free. But because his eyes had been blinded earlier, he couldn't tell which direction Helly was in. Around him was only darkness. "Why can't I stop crying? Why am I so afraid? Because I'll never be able to see again. Am I afraid of the darkness? No, I stopped being afraid of the darkness long ago. If there are places with shadows, I can sense everything more clearly than when my eyes are open. That's right. Darkness is my domain. Shadows are part of my body. Although I can't see, I can feel it." At this moment, the pattern on Noah's hand emitted a purple glow. Then Helly's location appeared clearly in his perception. "Finally found you, Helly!" Just as Helly was about to be killed by the fall, Noah successfully reached the spot below him. He first used shadows to cushion Helly's falling momentum, then steadily caught him in his arms. "Helly, are you all right?" Hearing this, Helly opened his eyes. "Noah, what happened to your ability?" "I don't know either. I thought I'd never be able to use my powers again. But strangely, this power feels like it belonged to me all along." Hearing this, Helly suddenly understood. He looked at his still glowing hand and pondered. "That's right, I also found it strange before. And that time when Marge told us that you were different from other vampires, that you inherited ancient power and were the only vampire nobles. So even though Suha's power was taken away, the patterns on your hands didn't disappear. This is because before Suha gave us power, we had already received Suha's blood. Previously, because we were always using the power Suha gave us, we forgot that Suha only enhanced our power. We ourselves already possessed power exclusive to vampire nobles." After thinking everything through, Helly activated the pattern. Power flowed from his hand to every pore of his body. His hair also turned back to black. Friends, the others heard Helly's telepathic message and found it incredible. Listen carefully, everyone. Although the power Suha gave us has disappeared now, our original abilities are still there. We always thought that what Suha gave us was all of our power. But that's not true. We just forgot the power that originally belonged to us. Look, then everything that happened before appeared in several people's minds. Helly showed them like playing a video. These were all events from their previous lives, and even without Suha then, they all possessed formidable power. Noah's shadow ability, Jaka's super speed and brainwave sensing, John's invincible strength, Gino's ability to control flames, Cheyenne's mind control, and Solon who could transform into a wolf. Everyone, quickly remember the true power we originally possessed. Seeing this scene, Dardan panicked. "You bunch of fools. If you keep doing useless things, the princess will lose her life." But his words stopped abruptly. Marge had already crashed into his back. Dardan's eyes widened in fury. "You dare to interfere! With that, he swiped down with his claws. A figure flashed before him. Marge and Suha had already disappeared. Dardan looked completely bewildered. Seeing that Suha was rescued, Khan no longer suppressed the anger in his heart. He immediately transformed into wolf form. Dardan's face turned pale, sensing trouble. At this moment, Jaka had already appeared not far away, holding Suha and Marge. He wanted to check on Suha's injuries, but a large group of vampires came attacking. Just then, a figure landed. Cheyenne blocked in front of them. Cheyenne's eyes emitted purple light. The vampires in front immediately stopped moving. Cheyenne said coldly, "From now on, go and bring me the heads of your own kind." Cheyenne's command echoed repeatedly in the vampires' minds. The next moment, they all turned to attack their companions beside them. Cheyenne watched this scene without doing anything more. Meanwhile, on the altar above, Khan was pressing down hard on Dardan. Dardan could only roar helplessly for the moment. Seeing this, the green-haired subordinate wanted to step forward to help, but a wall of fire suddenly appeared in front of him. He roared angrily, "You dare to block me!" Hearing this, Gino remained unmoved, flames continuously burning around him. Green Hair also released his lightning power, not to be outdone. But the current Gino was clearly not the soft target he was when he first appeared. The flames burned more and more fiercely. Green Hair could only struggle to resist. In a moment, he was violently knocked away by the firewolf. But the werewolves were still in a dire situation. Unable to transform into werewolves, they were no match for the vampires. Seeing the vampires already charging up, Enzi and Najak could only block in front of everyone. At this moment, Solon appeared and took down the frontmost vampire with one claw. Dealing with the other vampires was like cutting vegetables. But he was only one person after all. Other vampires found gaps and reached the werewolves. Seeing this, Solon immediately flew forward. He blocked in front of the werewolves, but was dragged away by the vampires himself. At this moment, Dardan on the platform saw that no one could come to rescue him. He could only struggle to grab Khan's neck. He was indeed worthy of being the first vampire. Khan in wolf form couldn't break free, and now Khan was more worried about his own kind. The screams of his kinsmen kept echoing in his ears. He kept crying out in his heart, "No, brothers. Damn it, if only the moonlight wasn't blocked." Then he remembered what the wolf god had told him, "Lycanthrope. You are the inheritor of the wolf god's blood. You are the moon of our race. You will awaken the true power of our race. When necessary, your instincts will tell you what to do. Resonate with everyone. Become the moon of the race and protect everyone. Protect the master you serve." The next moment, Khan's body emitted brilliant light. He was like a bright moon howling on the altar. Seeing this, Dardan had a bad feeling, but it was too late to stop it. Moonlight-like radiance had already illuminated the other werewolves. They all transformed into wolf form. As the light from Khan's body continued to output, all the werewolves on the scene had completed their transformation. They looked up at Khan, who was like moonlight. Solon, who was also a werewolf, broke out of the vampire encirclement. The situation on the field immediately reversed. The giant wolves launched fierce attacks. At this moment, Dardan extended his claws toward Khan. He attempted to interrupt Khan's spellcasting. Khan sensed danger, but had no time to defend himself. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed Dardan. Even someone like Dardan couldn't break free from John's restraint. Just as he was about to say something, John's fist had already fallen. Striking him directly in the face, John pummeled Dardan with punch after punch. Dardan's white teeth were scattered everywhere. Just as John was about to continue, Dardan spoke, "Now, all of you stop." Immediately, powerful purple energy burst forth from his body. John and Khan were blown off the altar. Dardan stood up on the altar. Violent purple energy swirled around him. "Now I don't need anything anymore. The princess's power and the princess herself, I don't want any of it. If we can't live together, then dying together isn't bad either." With that, the surrounding earth and stone cracked. The entire cavern began to shake violently. Heli didn't understand what was happening at first. Before he could think more, stone slabs from above had already fallen. A huge boulder came down above Heli and Noah. Suha and the others were also in dire straits. Seeing the falling rocks about to crush several people, Noah quickly used his ability to control the falling stones. Looking at the giant boulder so close in front of him, Jaka felt a chill of fear. However, even for Noah, restraining so many stones at once was very difficult. "Heli, go save Suha quickly. I can't hold on much longer." Hearing this, Heli's heart trembled. Only then did he realize Suha was in danger. He immediately darted through the falling rocks. At this moment, Suha and the other two were already surrounded by giant boulders. The shadow control obviously couldn't last much longer. Looking at Suha in such peril, Heli anxiously shed tears. "Suha, wait for me. I will definitely save you." Suddenly, two large boulders crashed onto Heli's back. Heli was forcibly crushed to the ground. Jaka was also extremely anxious at this moment. He could see the shadows on the stones gradually disappearing. The next moment, the surrounding stones collapsed thunderously. The other companions were also powerless against such a natural disaster. Whether werewolves or vampires, none could escape. Only the altar where Dardan stood was unaffected. Seeing his goal achieved, Dardan took a deep breath. Having exhausted his strength, he also fell from the altar. Then came a tremendous crash. The scene fell silent, with only the sound of flowing water, and all the people buried under the giant stones. Everyone was buried underground, their fate unknown. Dardan stood up, searching and walking through the ruins. "Selin, where are you? In the end, only I can be by your side." However, he found Heli. "Before I die, I'll at least get rid of you." With that, he struck down with his claws. Heli turned his head. But Suha suddenly appeared. Dardan's claws pierced through Suha's body, while Heli's sword pierced through Dardan. Dardan couldn't believe this was real. History seemed to be repeating itself. Heli was completely stunned. Suha, why? Why are you doing the same thing as that time again? We must be reborn to meet again. Whether it's 1,000 years or 10,000 years, I will definitely find you. I will definitely wait for you, and when that time comes, I will definitely protect you. Heli, I'm sorry, this is my last rebirth. Being able to meet you all in this life and be friends with you. I'm really happy, so I really don't mind. Hearing this, Heli was speechless. I won't hide it anymore at the end. Back then, it wasn't because I thought we were still young, nor because we were good friends, that I wanted you to bite my neck. It was because we were no longer young that I wanted you to bite me. You are the most excellent knight I have ever seen. With that, Suha moved closer to Heli. Heli gently held Suha's face, then kissed her. I will forever be your knight. Just then, Suha's body suddenly began to glow. The energy orb above her head seemed to be summoned. A 7-colored beam of light shot down from it, directly illuminating Suha. Suha slowly floated into the air. At the same time, Heli's wounds instantly healed. All those buried under the stones also recovered and stood up. At this moment, Suha had floated to the top of the altar. Heli was still in tears. Then he knelt on one knee and bowed to Suha. Seeing this, Khan remembered what the wolf god had said. Use that power to protect the master you acknowledge. At that time, Khan didn't know who the master was, but now he was very clear. So he also prostrated himself on the ground. Suha seemed to receive Khan's power and changed again. Blue energy ice crystals surrounded her. The 7 knights and the wolf pack all knelt and bowed to her. Only now did Suha truly look like a princess. Dardan could only watch helplessly as the princess displayed her true power. His whole body trembled uncontrollably, but he still held on to hope. He thought that even so, the princess still couldn't use her power, so he might as well kill this man Heli first. His surprise attack caught Heli off guard, but suddenly Dardan felt his body and mind shake. Powerful pressure made him kneel on the ground. It was Suha who had acted. At this moment, she no longer had her previous weakness. Her eyes held only pride and coldness. Dardan, now everything is over. All power has returned to me. You have done too many wrong things. Even so, Dardan responded, I just wanted to gain your love. If you loved me, if my status were more noble, then I wouldn't have done these things. In the end, it's still because of my bloodline. At this moment, Marge spoke up. I told you long ago that royal inheritance comes from respect, although one must have shamanic blood to inherit royal power. If you want to truly obtain royal power, you need to possess ancient power, and the loyalty of both the guide and the lycanthropes. Only those acknowledged by both races can inherit royal power. The more you try to take by force like this, the more impossible it becomes, just like the human heart. After listening, Dardan also lowered his head. I know that hearts cannot be changed by force. From the very beginning, her heart never stayed with me. It's precisely because I knew this that I used status and position as excuses. I clearly knew everything, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't control my feelings for her. Everyone, I entrust the princess to you from now on. Selen, to me, you will always be my princess. After saying this, Dardan's body dissolved into the air. Along with him disappeared the vampires he had created. They didn't even know why they were born or why they perished. Just then, the dawn rose. Suha and Heli gazed deeply at each other. The next instant, Suha returned to her school uniform appearance and came before Heli. After defeating Dardan, they finally embraced. Having expressed their feelings earlier, there was no longer a master-servant distinction between them. Just as the two were being affectionate, Marge interrupted them. Your Highness. No, now I should address you as Your Majesty the Queen. Hearing this, Suha seemed somewhat flustered. Marge, that title makes me feel so much pressure. The kingdom no longer exists anyway, so just call me Suha from now on. Marge wanted to say something more, but Suha immediately cut her off. Thank you, Marge, for waiting for them so long and taking care of them. And everyone, thank you so much for coming to save me. Heli replied, this is our duty, and also my heartfelt wish. After saying this, his face turned completely red. Hearing this, Suha was moved. At this moment, Marge interjected again. Miss Suha, I wonder what your plans are for the future. Suha replied, now that the kingdom and Dardan are gone, I just want to live my own life well and return to being an ordinary student, Suha. After saying this, she asked Heli what he wanted to do in the future. Heli replied without hesitation, of course I also want to return to being an ordinary student, Heli, but I probably won't be the same as before. Suha immediately understood, because now was different from before. Time flew by, and it had been a week since the first vampire Dardan was eliminated. The sudden disappearance of all vampires became a hot topic among students. A girl with glasses was in an exceptionally good mood. She said that now they wouldn't have to suspect people around them of being vampires anymore. Suha, who was passing by, also felt relieved. After all, she used to be suspected of being a vampire. Just then, several girls exclaimed, look quickly, it's Heli and the others. Many girls rushed forward to greet them, instantly surrounding the 7 of them. Even Heli didn't know how to escape for a moment. Then, Cheyenne suddenly said, aren't you curious why the vampires suddenly disappeared? Before he could finish, he was silenced by the other guys. Not far away, Suha quietly watched this scene, then was about to walk away silently. Suddenly, Heli's voice rang in her mind. Suha, where are you going? Suha stammered that she was going to the administrative office. Seemed like there was some good news. It turned out there was a spot available in the new dormitory. Soon, Suho came to the new dormitory with her luggage. Inside, it was neat and clean, with a lingering scent of perfume in the air. This made Suho feel refreshed for a while. She looked around and found no one inside. While walking, she accidentally bumped into the bed frame. Just as the bed frame was about to fall, two girls walked in from outside. They happened to see Suho holding up the falling bed frame. Suho was panicked and was about to explain, but the girl with glasses immediately beamed with joy. "You're so strong! You must be our new roommate. This bed was already broken. Let us help you." Suddenly, a large hand also rested on the bed. Helly had somehow arrived at the dormitory. "I heard you moved to a new dorm. We thought we could come help." Then John appeared with a pile of tools. "I'll fix the bed for you." Cheyenne also made a dazzling appearance wearing an apron. "I just love cleaning." Jino, Noah, and Jaka also said they came to help. Solon still couldn't change his stubborn nature. "You need to learn to speak directly. Don't always beat around the bush." Suho smiled awkwardly, saying there wasn't much to organize and it would be finished quickly. At this moment, Helly secretly transmitted to Suho. "Shall we go on a date at the plaza today?" Suho's heart suddenly raced. A D-date? Just the two of us? Helly smiled slightly. "That's right, just the two of us. A date." After getting the answer, Suho's face turned completely red. She was just about to agree, when Shion shouted at the top of his lungs, "Then let's finish quickly and I'll go play at the plaza together." The others all agreed enthusiastically, but this ruined Helly's plans. The two could only smile at each other, and somehow, their hands had clasped together. A new day at Sunshine City School. Suho was invited to Khan's birthday party. Khan was very happy to receive the gift Suho brought, and everyone else welcomed Suho warmly. Tahel hoped Suho would have fun today. While Khan unwrapped Suho's gift, it was a little wolf plushie. At that moment, several aggressive footsteps could be heard approaching. Cheyenne appeared with a disgusted expression, saying this party was way too boring. John also looked unfriendly, with a helpless-looking Gino behind them. Cheyenne continued with his annoying expression, mocking, "I felt bored since the moment I walked in. Extremely bored." Then he told Suho to leave with them. John nodded in agreement, while Khan and his friends looked furious. "We only invited Suho. Why did you guys come too? Get out immediately!" Cheyenne retorted. "You guys ruined our birthday party first. We're just getting revenge." Tahel reached out his hand over the gifts and get out. Cheyenne wasn't backing down. "What rude brats. We even brought gifts because we're so kind." Then they pulled out their own gifts in return. Leftover bones, a frisbee, and toilet paper with happy birthday written on it. Seeing this, Cheyenne said seriously, "I brought a gift that you'll definitely love. Tada, my super handsome self-portrait." Quick as lightning, Tahel knocked Cheyenne's narcissistic painting away, making Cheyenne jump up and down in anger. Then Tahel and the others looked menacingly at Solon. "What about you? What gift did you bring?" "Don't tell me you came empty-handed." Solon replied, "I don't have anything, but I didn't come empty-handed." Tahel thought Solon must be joking. Solon extended his hand toward them. Everyone froze, looking down stupidly at Solon's outstretched, so at a loss. Then Enzi took Solon's hand, while Shion and Tahel looked incredulous. "Are you guys serious?" Meanwhile, Suho was thanking Khan for inviting her to his birthday party. Khan said, "I'm the one who's happy you came to my birthday party." Then he asked how things were going with Suho and Helly lately, and Suho blushed and said they were going well. At this moment, Khan looked down at Suho. "Suho, just like I told you before. We werewolves fall in love with the first woman we see on the night of a lunar eclipse. And we'll only love one person for our entire lives. So Suho, I'll love you forever." Suho felt a bit moved by these words. "But Suho, I want you to know, I don't love you because you were the first person I saw on the night of the lunar eclipse. Before that night, I already loved you very much, so I'm glad. Glad that you were the first person I saw on the night of the lunar eclipse. I'm happy that among all people, you're the one I'll love forever. But I don't want you to feel uncomfortable because of this situation. When you truly fall in love with someone, I hope you'll be truly happy. When you're happy, I'll be happy. So Suho, please don't worry about me, you just need to be happy." Suho was very moved by these words. She sincerely thanked Khan. "Thank you, Khan." At this moment, a voice called out, "Your Majesty." A long-haired boy bowed to Suho. "You must be our queen." The long-haired boy introduced himself. "My name is Luca. I'm a holy knight of the Vargar Kingdom. It's an honor to meet you, Your Majesty," he said as he performed a hand-kiss greeting to Suho. Suho blushed and said, "No, I'm not a queen." Then another voice came from the side. "I apologize for my brother's mistake. I'm Louis." Khan stepped in front of Suho and asked, "Louis, Luca, when did you guys arrive?" Luca said, "We heard you had a big battle with Dardan. We rushed here to support you, but we're sorry, Your Highness. From now on, we'll always protect your safety." Suho shyly stepped back. "I'm not a queen or princess right now. I'm just an ordinary high school student." At this moment, Helly's voice echoed in Suho's mind. Helly used telepathy to tell Suho, "But in my heart, you'll always be my princess." Seeing Helly's sincere expression, Suho smiled with relief. The birthday party came to an end. Suho and Helly's group said goodbye to Khan's group, and Khan told Suho to come visit them at Sunshine City School often. On the way back, Cheyenne complained it was too dark, so he told Gino to light a fire for illumination. Gino said helplessly, "I'm not your torch, and you can see clearly in the dark anyway." Cheyenne said disdainfully, "If you don't use your abilities now, when will you? We hardly get to use our abilities anymore." Then he turned and asked everyone when they last used their abilities. After thinking for a moment, Gino said, "The last time I used my ability was to make cotton candy for Suho." John had used his ability during nightball practice. Jaka said he used his ability to help John retrieve balls that flew outside the school. Noah said his last use of ability was drawing a crab shadow on the wall with his finger. Shion sighed, "See? Our abilities have no place to be used." Then he said his last use of ability was when he asked the art club to paint his portrait. Solon said angrily, "Don't use your abilities for stuff like that." Solon said he hadn't used his ability since that battle. Shion said, "That's because there's nothing for a wolf to do. Why don't you transform into a wolf and let us ride you?" Solon bared his teeth and claws. "I should transform today and attack you." After thinking for a moment, Jaka said, "About this, I think the one who uses his ability most frequently should be Heli. Right, Heli?" Jaka and the others turned around to ask. But they were only met with silence. Hearing the silence from the front, Heli and Suho realized they were waiting for their answer. The group stared at the two of them with speechless expressions. They all questioned whether Heli had been using telepathy to chat with Suho the whole time, what they talked about and for how long. Suho nervously said they didn't talk about anything. And Heli said, "I told Suho I like her," which earned him funny faces from his brothers.